The uplink is secured and we are logged in. Welcome to the second edition of Ctrl+Ink+Delete. I am Frostix, joined by Sasu. Totally not the people you heard on a future Splat World Series Rewound video.
Yeah, somehow, I say somehow we're on the mic together again, but I feel maybe it's just destiny. Maybe we're simply squad and we're good on the mic. So once again, you will be hearing from Frostix and myself on this Ctrl+Ink+Delete number 2. And quite frankly, on this, at least for me, Friday night, I think it may be tomorrow morning for a few of the Europeans and people from around the world already. Certainly, I think in Japan, it's way into tomorrow, and there are some Japanese players here today. This is kind of a stacked tourney, Frostix.
Yeah, it's like you said, Sasu. We've got players, teams from all across the world, from NA, from Europe, and even from Japan. So whether or not it is Friday evening, Saturday, like the dawn of Saturday or Saturday morning, we are here to play some double elimination Splatoon today.
Absolutely, and we'll be playing a lot of Splatoon, of course. 3 modes, I think, in play. No Rainmaker for all 3 of you Rainmaker enthusiasts. I am joking. You know, Rainmaker has its place, but its place is not here, because you will be seeing tower, clams, and zones in this particular tourney. So we're going to be starting off right now, getting right into it. I believe this is Cuptan versus Land Crabs, and let's take a look at these load-ins, Frostix.
Alright, so already on Museum Zones, I'm witnessing some vanilla Dreadringer action as well as vanilla Range Blaster, and Jennifer's over there on the T-Tech Splatter Shot. Meanwhile, on the side of Cupton, that's the 96 with Cooler as well as vanilla Blaster and Secofin Charger. Some really interesting picks for our first match of the stream. Already we're seeing the Ghoulies trying to get a jump onto Land Crab Flat. They're still in there, and they will be trading off that Range Blaster now. Land Crab does get a Reef Slider, but not... Oh, wait. Yeah, it does get a Reef Slider. But now Cupton will respond with a wipeout to open this power control game.
Yeah, I think Cupton, so aggressive, they maybe forgot that this was tower for a second. Finally, they do have people on that tower. You see their Range Blaster gonna go down in a trade, so the only person up right now is Land Crabs. So I think right now attempting to sort of keep the face, but it's just not going to work. Cuptan is an absolutely oppressive force, just trying to mow down Land Crabs as they make their way to this last checkpoint.
Definitely, they're poised to be right in front of Land Crab's own spawn. We're seeing the 96 push up and get punished immediately. It's only the Dualies left, and with 3 members down, Cupton's probably got to start acting, and that's the last pick for a little bit of a delayed wipe, and oh no! Oh! Those jumps! I thought they were jumping to their demise, but they managed to cinch it out within the last couple of seconds of this game, as Cupton will take Museum tower control.
Yeah, honestly, not shocked. I guess they had maybe 1 point left there, so they're like, listen, we can do it. We just have to jump in. We'll figure it out. I feel like this happens a lot on like an Inkblot tower where people just can't resist jumping in there, even though it might be to their death, because the just inertia, the how the tower moves, sometimes it just like lets you get away with inching out those extra points. So definitely a good call to not just start from scratch and be like, listen, if we wipe, we wipe, but you know, might as well jump and see what we can get.
Yeah, exactly, and it maybe just caused a little bit of a scramble there from the members of Land Crabs, just to like get all the attention on it, and then it allowed them to get that knockout. So that's going to be the first game in this best of 3 set 1, yeah, by the looks of things. Yes, so going into game number 2, this will be on Clan Blitz Mako Mart. Now, Mako Mart is normally seen as a zones or as a tower control map, but on Clan Blitz, it could be a little bit more different around. I'm definitely going to imagine that the Clan Basket is going to be a very, very crowded aisle.
Yeah, I'd say unlucky. I have no love in my heart for Clam Blitz Mako Mart. feels bad, man. I think that it can be really cramped underneath those baskets. And just approaching, you're gonna want to approach maybe on that left stack, or sort of use the flanks to your advantage there. But yeah, just under that basket can be so cramped, and especially when you have a pen that's maybe sitting on snipe, waiting to beam you if you're on one of those stacks, or you can have the other team with a lot of AoE just chipping at you so you can't get rid of them under your basket. It can be a really frustrating experience, Frosted.
Yeah, definitely so. And on a map, like you were saying, kind of just pressure ledges, if I remember correctly, and both of the teams were running a kind of blaster. I saw like both vanilla range blaster as well as vanilla blaster this time around. So I think those are definitely good for at least trying to pressure out the ledges that are oh so prevalent on Mako Mart as we now enter the store, and hopefully Cupton is shopping for a victory.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out, and we also see an edit as well for that backline. I'm not quite sure if Wendigo was on that before, or if we were looking down at Pencil, but we also have a change, I think, perhaps from that CF to the new charger that has Crab. You see two members going down, make that three as it pertains to Cupcan already, so a lot of pandemonium happening for them, but of course this is Clam, so a lot of it is going to be about securing these picks, getting the Clam economy on your side before you can just go in and rush that basket. But it seems as though their blaster is already poised to do just that, even if they do go down and get punished for it.
Time economy is one thing, but of course space control and the numbers advantage is another thing. And right now it's looking like Landcrab is controlling the space to a T, making sure they can play on the ledges and constantly be pushed up, negating space to Cupton. That being said, Landcrab does go 2 down. Lettuce is here. They're going down to the Dread Ring from Young, who is going down to the Charger from Cupton as well. It's just an all-out skirmish on aisle 4. Someone call a janitor.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm seeing that I think 2 specials, or rather not 2 specials, that bubble was deployed for Cupcan, but they still have this Crab, which will be perfect for, quite frankly, just pushing with. If they're able to get themselves a power clam and then just pop that Crab, perhaps their Charger giving it to somebody else while they put on that pressure, they might be able to do something. But as you can see, their Charger is having to back up. A lot of their players are going down, and they are just holding on to that Crab for dear life now, because I think, you know, it's written on the walls with that T-Tech and how many clams they have. I think we're going to be scoring right about now.
That first barrier break for Landcrab, and they will be able to get to that 60-point threshold that is ever so key within Clam Blitz. It allows you to have that really solid early lead without giving the enemy team a lot more resources for a counter push. And they get halfway through their score to 53. That's a really strong push if you are Landcrab. Right now, if you're Cupton, already they're doing really solid work of just controlling the space and the numbers, both the blaster as well as the shot going down. We're seeing these dually be in there like Springer. They're going to be able to get rid of Young. They have Wendigo in their sights as well. They have the bubble. They're followed up by a stamp from that Luna here. They're just constantly pressuring and staggering Landcrab's frontline here. Now they just need to get power ready to go, and that's the first barrier break for Cupton.
Yeah, and this is going to be huge. You see, they are already down to 59, so they have that lead in their sights. I think that Crab putting on this pressure, but I'm not quite sure if they necessarily have the subsequent plans to keep that open. Unfortunately, that jump is going to come in too late, so the basket does close. But right now, you see 3 of the members are going down on Cupcan. I was going to say, we were talking about retake before, because this is such a cramped map as it pertains to Clam Blitz. Both of these teams, when their push is over, it's so easy to get wiped. They're going to have to put themselves in a position where they're ready to just immediately retaliate to their own basket and get broken open.
Speaking of retaliation, this is what Cupton's doing in space. Once again, 2 members going down, a barrier has been broken. That Luna is putting more pressure onto the backline. The hammer's going down. The lead now has been taken from Cupton, with the lead being pushed to 50. More players are flying in, I think, from the 96. They're able to jump out as well. No scratches left here. I think now the barrier is going to close, which means Landcrab needs to start catching up the the lead is definitely attainable so long as they have their pigs and their clams in the right place.
Absolutely, and of course they have that pity clam in their back pocket just in case. So we're going up, we're coming up on a minute left in this game. There's just a lot of pandemonium. I think both of these teams are just kind of focused on getting their picks and seeing what they can make of that, because I think once the team essentially wipes, they are just done for. But you see, two of those members are going to go down on land crabs. I think we have those defensive strikes, and just, I don't know, Uptan is just in harassment mode, it seems like.
Definitely, when those dualies are just keeping the front line, they will get that barrier break right in the nick of time, and they're still slaying these things up next to the basket, assisted by this Luna Blaster. More clams are flying in, I think from the 96 as well as that Luna Blaster. Do they realize the Luna is there? Do they realize that there's a dualie and a Luna flanking them right now? Wendigo's going down, more clams are flying in from Cupton. It's only the dualies and this Luna left, but right now they're a two-man band, and they're just able to clean up the aisle very effectively, pushing the lead to 13. Land Crabs has a very tall hill to climb in overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an amazing amount of aggression going on there. So not only do they have to try and come back, of course, they do have, I think, that extra power clam that they have, but one of their members is going to go down with those strikes, make that two, and they have a Reef-Fighter, but honestly, I think with almost all their members going down, this Dreadbringer being the only person left, they might be able to get this jump if they have the clams on them, but it's just not going to be enough. Even if they had the time, I think that there's just not enough clam economy active to even put in that basket, maybe, Frosties.
Yeah, exactly. I think Land Crabs was putting all of their effort into getting that first barrier break in. They didn't have a lot of follow-up afterwards. They did have that Reach Slider, which is good at just flushing the members of Cupton out of the basket area, but noting that when you use a special like Reach Slider, all your clams can start flying out of your pockets here, and then it becomes even more of a scramble. And especially when Cupton was holding their ground, when they respected the space of the Reef Slider, they immediately take that space right back away, hold their ground, ensure that the Reef Slider gets punished, ensure that any subsequent jumps get punished, which secured them that overtime push. No need to head to that third zones game because Cupton is moving forward in winner's bracket here. They I think also have their work cut out for them, because in winner's bracket round 2 they are going up against seed number 2 Dolce Espressivo. Meanwhile, of course, Land Crab's story isn't over. They're gonna get knocked down over to losers bracket.
Yeah, so they still have a lot to go in front of them. You know, sometimes you might see a Cinderella run, so don't quit on them just yet. But I think, speaking of quitting, we might be taking a bit of a short break. I know these teams are getting ready behind the scenes fast enough that there will be no break. We're going straight into it as soon as they're ready. But yeah, I think that it was just so crazy thinking back on that last game to see the sheer volume of aggression and almost spawn camping, unfortunately, that we saw in that Clams game.
Oh yeah, when Cupton was running weapons like Luna as well as the Twinkles dualies, it just allows them to maneuver around Make-A-Mart really efficiently. Here the dualies can just get in and out of just different areas, and the Luna Blaster can play at so many different angles, and because it's just so nimble on its feet with that with the Fizzy Bomb allowing it to paint a trail for itself, as well as Ultra Stamp doing that just even more, it allowed, like, you constantly saw the Luna being eager to go up behind the basket, and you saw the Twinkles dualies, you know, they're kind of on they're kind of on their Batman and Robin timing, just constantly jumping them whenever the push, whenever it was time to start pushing here, and it just made the space for Land Crabs just really small. They had to kind of work within a really cramped space. If and this is on Make-A-Mart clams, which you already cited as a cramped space to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely no space to really stretch your legs, so to speak. But in case you guys are curious, I think our next set that we are waiting to get into is our third seat, Nyan. That, if you couldn't hear it there, that is 4 A's. Nyan versus Ebi East, which I think are both of our teams that may have Japanese players on the roster, if I'm not mistaken.
And definitely, Nyan appears to have a full Japanese roster. Ebiist has half of it. So, I mean, Saucy, you're good at pronouncing Japanese names on the fly. This, I more so leave this to you, but it's going to be pretty intense. Maybe if you can keep up with how, I mean, if the last set was a benchmark of how fast things will maybe run, we may be seeing something maybe even faster.
Yeah, and I it might be wrong, but I think it is probably around 9:22 a.m. in Japan right now. So we have some early risers, starting with Team Nyan. We have Vortex, who essentially it's Borutex, but let's be so real. Vortex, Arimakawawa, who we may just call Arimaka for short. Butin B, Merijan, and Rate on Team Nyan. They have 5 teammates, of course, so I think we are waiting for them to select their active roster. And then, of course, we have, I think, our 6th seed, Ebiist, which has decided to bench member Re. And then we have Dan and Jaga Ika, very much like a Veronica sort of, Uame and Koreki, who I believe is an American player.
Yeah, I think so. So was Oame. I mean, I remember being in I think I remember scrimming with Koreki at one time around. They're great. They're great. They also coached me for a bit. Shout out Koreki.
Ooh, bias on the mic.
This is no bias.
We're not even. Is a fan.
we're not even in game, Sasu. We still have yet to see both Nyan and Ebiist in action. I'm realizing that I probably need to take into account those 4 A's that you were talking about here. But I guess looking at the extended forecast for the set at large, we're only seeing the first game on Sendu, which will happen on Clamblitz Brinewater. Actually, this is interesting.
Honestly, I think Clamblitz Brinewater actually tournament legal, if I'm not mistaken, in even a lot of Western tourneys. I think you don't necessarily see it often because we tend to default to roughly sort of the same things, but I don't have a lot of umbrage for a Clamblitz Brinewater. Of course, one of the great depending on who you ask, weaknesses of our Brinewater is it can just be such a playground for leaders, for chargers who can just get a clear shot and really snipe you on your own plat, so to speak. But when it comes to Clamblitz, there's just way more movement around the general vicinity. So I think that puts chargers at a little bit less of a clear advantage, which makes it generally more exciting, at least to me, to play.
Yeah, it does seem that way, but assuming maybe the teams do stick with a charger backline, you were saying pencils, but also leaders here. I'm already kind of thinking how maybe early game will play out, because of course it's a scramble to get all your players in the right place, your clams in order for a push. But when you have when you have a map layout that allows anchors and backlines to have just a very clear vantage point of mid, they can just start raining down hellfire on mid, stuff like it's not even just, say, chargers, things like Wellstrings, things like X-Sploshers. They can provide a lot of good backline cover fire and a lot of good backline support within a hectic early game like this.
And I'm taking a look at least some people like to keep what they play a little bit covert, so I'm checking Sendo profiles here, especially for the members of Nyan who I may be a little bit admittedly less familiar with. And I see Vortex is listed as the coach. Arimakawawa has a slosher on their profile, also with the fun fact that they cannot speak English. Sorry. And looking at Nyan, not Nyan. This is Luchinbi. We do see a lot of dualies, so we're gonna take a look at these loadouts and see if that comes to pass. And I think that oh, we've got some interesting comps that are pretty I don't know, indicative of Japan, like we were just talking about. Luchinbi is sporting those dualies ready to go as both teams make it into it.
What I'm really interested is the Winter Rapid on Evius here, and already that will be I was gonna say that will be dropped, but that was the S Blast on Neon. We're seeing the bucket on Evius trying to get the jump onto Neon at least court area here. They're sharking over in the pits. The mini has gone down as well. There's still consistently 2 members down on Evius, and Neon are making sure the fight is in their favor right now. They're almost at a power clan. The Dualies, there's just 1 clan left. I think they spot 1 in the pit that they're probably going here. Clan has been formed. The strikes are coming in hot from Neon as well as Evius, but it will allow Neon to break the barrier first. But will they have the follow-up? Because Evius is already occupying the court area here with just a lot of firepower going for them here. This mini, I think that is correct. He has the Zuka ready to go, and already with 2 members down on Neon, this could be a counter push.
Yeah, especially you already see and just absolutely being thrown there. It seems like the name of the game is not even necessarily to just like get your hands on those clams. It's like we kill first, ask questions later, and with that bubble being set up, Evius in a really good position, not just to steal this lead, but I think get a lot of those clams already in. And when we talk about that 60-point mark, they breezed way past it, and they're already down to 44.
Already halfway through their point here, and potentially with still more to follow. This roller getting that intercept and allowing more clams to fly in, and even still, the score is pushed to 29, but now with 3 members down and potentially a 4th. That's a delay right for Neon. The basket is now closing, and Neon are already posted up on Evius court here. I think we're going to see a lot more hands thrown, Saucer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think finally there's a bit of a lull, and both of these teams can kind of look around for that clam economy. But we have a very aggressive grab coming out, I believe, from Luchinbi. They're on those dualies, and the barrier is broken. There's a lot of clams to be had, but look at Eddie. They're down to 29. And with those strikes, I don't know, Yana's going to have to work really hard to keep this going, and I think with Luchinbi being the lone survivor, but getting, I think that's a triple total, and getting down Jagan. Wow, that was, what a last stand there.
Definitely so. They go in guns blazing and ensuring that even if they go down, they're not going down without survivors. And look, that allows Neon to be right back up in Evius territory here. Those specials are mine so far, but they do have the space in their hands. S-Box going in, going down in the trade with the mini. They have 2 power clams laying in tow. The strength is coming out from Neon as well, and I think that's going to be another barrier break from Neon. There's 5 clams in the back pocket of this pencil being thrown in. The score is now pushed to 45. There's 2 members down on Evius here. Some more clams flying in from this S blast as well as the pencil, which allows Neon to get that lead. And they're already dueling in Evius spawn. The dualies are unfortunately going down here, and I think they're still keeping this basket open. Will it stay open for a little while longer? Yes, the bucket allowing it to stay open for a little while longer. Is that a second power clam? The second power clam has hit the basket, and that will allow Neon to get a knockout.
What a crazy showing. Just in general, to be honest, like, I feel like I didn't even necessarily see that other power clam come in. I heard you obviously call it out on mic, and I was like, what? Where? We saw such an absolutely crazy push from Evius, but, you know, I think that ultimately Nyan just kind of put their foot on their neck a little bit and would not let up, versus Evius, you know, they came in explosively. They went all the way down to the 40s, down to 29, but ultimately I think it was the art of the sustained push that really got Nyan their victory.
Oh, definitely so here, and I think they were pulling off these sustained pushes with just the constant amount of ramping pressure, whether or not that comes from the dualies that are just being sent into Ebius spawn, or whether it's coming from the cover fire from that pencil. Constant firepower and constant staggering, constant pressure being applied from Neon. So that is going to be game 1 going to them. It's now match point for this best of 3 set as we go to game 2, Zones, Barnacle, and Dime.
Ooh, Zones, Barnacle, and Dime, and I can tell you, having commentated for Triton Cup earlier today, this is not a forgiving Zones map. You let yourself wipe. You don't keep even if 2 of your members go down, you have to keep that space, because if you give it up for free, there's no guarantee that you're ever going to be getting it back. And then next thing you know, you're being spawn camped 100-0. So both of these teams really going to have to tighten up their games to make sure there are no come from behind wins performed on them like we saw in that last game.
Most definitely. The mid in Barnacle and Dime is a really easy sort of location to just cross into, and court in Barnacle and Dime is a really, really hard spot to break out of here, because, you know, when you're dropping in from your spawn or from your upper platform, you don't really know what's in store for you. You may have a Sharking Dually, a Sharking Roller, a Sharking Decavitator, totally not biased because I played that weapon, and also you need to make sure that you can maybe retake mid plat, plat on mid as well. That's a really key power position if you want to get that zone right back here. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind on retake. So no more time for analyzing. Let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's take a look at these weapons. I think so far no changes perhaps from either team, but I'm definitely gonna have my eye on Jaga. Jaga is the one, Jaga Ika rather, on that roller, who is already flanking, as you can see, and trying to just get some work done, but is going to be the first person to go down. And right now, I think both of these teams lobbying for that control, but with 2 members going down on Ebius, Yang definitely going to work really hard to get this control of their plat. Oh! But Justin's a blast, just like that last game. Suddenly 3 people go down, and Ebius is back in it.
I think that was kind of heralded by that roller you were talking about. Good eye to call them out as someone to look out for here. That being said, Ebius is looking for a really interesting different concept coming around. Sticker Stamper as well as Vanilla Reflux. We're seeing missile action as well as UFR going into the zone. A good displacement as well as a good zone painting specials. But right now, Neon are still fighting up on Ebius' flat here. We're seeing the Thunder trying to get rid of the Stamper. He's charging for UFR here. They're jumping back into the safe reaches of mid right now. They're holding the space, even if they're being forced to push back a bit. Look, they're already halfway through their points. Zuka, however, is coming out from Koreki that will be able to get rid of the bucket here. That being said, Ebius Neon is almost out of the 30 threshold, and Ebius is 2 members down.
That is a Zuka moment if I've ever seen one. Wow. But I think just behind their back, and I believe this is Chingy again on those flat dualies, grabbing here, trying to chip people out, get them out of there, which has worked. I saw those jump outs. I saw people back up. So now Chingy kind of has this plat for free and is going to get it up, give it up sort of, and back up, knowing I guess those missiles are lethal for them. So interestingly enough, none of us brought us up. There is a reflux in play here. So interesting. Wondering what that's about. Perhaps retake?
Definitely so. Missiles are good at least for both scouting as well as displacement, but right now they need to start moving because Neon is almost at knockout. It's only Koreki left, and they're in the middle of a firefight. And it's like you said back on Mako Mart Clam Sasu, there just isn't enough time, not enough resources to get yourself going in this position. So Neon getting a 2-0 set sweep, pushing them further in the winner's bracket. They're moving on to semis, knocking Ebius down to the loser's bracket. Their story isn't over, however.
Yeah, and like they say in Japanese, ijo desu. That is it. They very quickly were sure to just hone in there and go for the kill. Really strong push and hold, and just an aggressive gameplay that really really help them in spades ultimately.
Oh yeah, definitely. So there were. It's like I was saying back before the match started here. Court is a really hard spot to break out of, and mid plat is a really important place to retake. I think you may have noticed that a lot of the fights this game are happening on plats here. The roller as well as the stamper were constant on Evius were constantly trying to push that up, as well as the bucket and the S plat on the side of Nyan were playing up on plat. They can like pretty much just yeah, they can, knowing that they're playing AoE weapons like bucket and S blast, they can play it at really unique angles. So it's just kind of how it is, just how Barnacle and Dime works. So, well, it's like I said earlier, Nyan's moving further in winner's bracket semis to go up against seed number 2, Dolce Espressivo. Meanwhile, Evius are going down in the loser's bracket to face off against the previously showcased Land Crab. So now, loser's bracket is finally set up. Something we can get started on loser's bracket, but would we call for a break?
Uh, Yeah, I think we will be taking a short break, and I will remind you before we even take that break, you were talking about, they're going forward to our second seeds, but of note, Nyan, of course, a full Japanese roster, and so it is quite possible that their seeding may not be entirely accurate due to no fault of Zendo Q nor our seeders. So I think they might be kind of unknowns to some extent. So we'll see how they do up against them, but not before taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Hello and welcome back to Ctrl+Ink+Delete number 2. I'm Sasu. I'm still here with Frostix, and we are going into our winners bracket semis game.
Yeah, we recently saw the full Japanese roster of Neon take a 2-game set against Evius here, and
whoa. Nyan.
Of course, 4
4
A's.
A's.
Make sure to accentuate it. We recently saw the full Japanese roster of Neon take a 2-game sweep against Evius, and now they're going up against our second seed Dolce Espressivo, consisting of Luck, Jay, Bubbles, and holy crap, is that Sabrina Carpenter?
The Sabrina Carpenter gracing us very kindly with her presence here. I think hence the Dolce, it's clearly that's that me espresso. I think that's where the Dolce Espressivo, it's because it's that me espresso, because the Sabrina Carpenter is indeed on roster.
Yeah, it all comes full circle. And now that we have reached winners bracket semis, we have entered best of 5 sets. So the sets will be longer, the action will be hotter, and I say hotter because our first map will be on Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi.
Yeah, but obviously, as we know, when you hit that halfway point, then the water goes down. They say, listen, you've cooled down enough, and here is just some more space to work with. So of course, it's like you're playing on a completely different map when that change does happen. So I'm going to be interested to see what both of these teams do. I know that Luck is someone I personally know and always runs dualies. There you see them as the cooler user, and I think just about no changes there from Nyan, but I think I'm not sure Urate was playing before. Maybe it was somebody else on console. I could be wrong about that, but so far both of these teams open up with Nyan getting a very early hat, but we're gonna see which of these teams wins out as soon as picks start coming down.
Already, Nyan, I think that is Nyan going 2 members down. Same thing on the end of Espressivo though. The dualies, once again, dueling as they have shown in the last set here. Getting, I think, 2 members down. They have the grab ready to go as well. And the zone is back in control of Nyan. And we're seeing the dualies pop out the grab, which is immediately shredded by this speed leader here.
Yeah, I think I saw maybe a slap bomb. Am I crazy to have? Because I feel like if they got that headshot, they would have just died. I think someone just sniped them, so to speak, with a slap bomb. Buchinbi is not to be reckoned with, but in that moment, I think they did go down. You have this E-leader kind of positioning themselves to check this bottom flank. Of course, I think we're looking at a change in hand with the lead and that Wavebreaker going out. I think this leader is just on an absolute killing spree before they finally do go down. So Nyan getting into position to try and volley take.
Definitely so. They do at least hold their lead of 64. It was previously at 67 before 49, pushed it to 67, and they pushed it to 64. I'm saying a bunch of numbers right now. But what you need to know is that the water level is still up. Both teams are at that 60 threshold here. 2 members of Neon going down on the other hand. And with Dolce Espressivo finally breaking past the 60 threshold, the water level has dropped here. And like we said, guys, here a lot more space to work around here. The missiles are flying out of Dolce Espressivo as well here. They're all clumping up right now, but the soda does come out from the pencil. Same thing with the strikes from the bucket here. They probably need to get this grip fast before Dolce Espressivo starts breaking out that 50 threshold like they do right now.
Yeah, 3 of their members go down though. I think that there's just an impressive force from Dolce Espressivo. I think that Mi Espresso is a little bit too strong for them as it stands right now, but we are only halfway through the game. You see, we are closing in on 230, but they are able with those strikes to momentarily cap over. So right now it's going to be a little bit more annoying for Dolce Espressivo, but with 3 of their members down, they do have those missiles for entry, so we'll see how they do now that they're on the back foot.
Definitely, and they're almost out of the penalty points. They're breaking past 67. Already this leader, though, will get a shot onto the bucket here. Neon is still counting things down. The Dooley suddenly down. The Waybreaker's ready for the leader, though. The thing that is 2 members going down on Project Zero. They do have to get an initial flip of the zone, applying more penalty points onto Neon, but they're still in control out of the 20 threshold into 10. And they have a lot of seconds to work with the Booyah Bomb as well as the strikes good for keeping space in their hands. They're almost out of it, but they're 2 members down.
Yeah, but if they were able to just lock in and get these picks, but it's not going to happen. You have, I think, part of the win condition here is to make sure that that E-leader is out of commission. And quite frankly, this E-leader has a shockingly aggressive positioning. You see, they are almost never on high ground. They are on the floor with their mates, but picking people off nonetheless. They're saying, listen, I'm not afraid, but maybe in this instance, they could have profited from being a little bit more afraid because, of course, they do go down. That is going to be 2 members. But we didn't mention it, Frostix. Dolce Espressivo has a Dreadringer with that Reslider, and that is going to make life very difficult.
Immediately coming in, swooping down to get that last cap. There's now less than a minute left in the match for Neon to get this loop back. It is deadly close, 82 to 30, and everything in Neon's arsenal being tossed out. The strike, the Booyah Bomb, and the grab. With 2 members down on Dolce Espressivo, they're going to have 30 seconds left to get this lead, and they're already breezing past 10 seconds, almost in the single digits. We're seeing the Doom trying to get an early jump onto Dolce Espressivo, but no, they're going down. And look at the Dread, they have the Reef Slider. Shark is coming, but now none will be able to take this lead. With 50 seconds left on the clock, Dolce Espressivo needs to make this work to overtime.
Yeah, we saw that Dooley v Dooley. I think that's Luck and Buchin V both going down, you know, a little bit like a double Kamehameha there, canceling each other out. But right now, the issue here is that you have the S-Blast in lead, but they cannot really do the painting. So the pencil coming in, I think the cooler is going to come out, so they're going to try and get the pick and see if they can neutralize the zone. It's not going to happen, and it's just a lot of fighting. And when the dust settles, Nyan comes out victorious, if only by a hair.
By a hair indeed, but it really did truly depend on that final fight before overtime started here, and Nyan were just able to just stick the landing, endure everything that Dolce Espressivo was throwing at them, and then even still throw more stuff back at the other team. I think I saw during their counterpush, they brought out everything and cycled it extremely effectively. They started out with the tri-strikes that can be good at immediately putting the zone into neutral and potentially at a cap if it's all positioned right, and then they follow up with the Booyah Bomb in case the initial 3 strikes don't do any justice, and even if they do, that Booyah Bomb good for displacing and then just catching anyone off guard. Then the Crab Tank, which does what the Booyah Bomb does with catching people off guard, securing picks, doing more displacement, and then on top of all of that, everyone on Nyan was hydrated. So really solid entryway into that final push here. So that's the first game of 5 going to Nyan. Game number 2 going in will be Hagglefish Market Tower Control.
Yeah, well, you were talking about that Booyah and that S-Blast. I believe that's Arimaka Wawa. Arimaka, I suppose, for short, who was on that S-Blast, who has that Booyah Bomb. And quite frankly, I think that may be the key going into this game. Having that Booyah Bomb, having that AoE by way of that S-Blast is going to make it so difficult to go up against on a tower control. But you, as we saw, you have those really strong players, and as much as that's difficult, an E-leader on tower is always tough to go up against, because all a leader really has to do is find you. And in tower control, they know exactly where you are. So it's just sometimes a case of point and shoot. And even worse, Hagglefish Tower is well known to be an extremely snowbally map. So we're going to see how both of these teams do in this map mode.
How will they roll that snowball to the finish? Already we're seeing both of them on Dolce Espressivo switching from, I think, Frozen I'm not sure what they were on last time around, but they are now on Orange Pro. Meanwhile, I think that's his sleep foot on Senju Napier, Sabrina Carpenter. They're going to Horns Red Ringer, so some crab action on the side of Dolce Espressivo this time around.
Yeah, definitely glad to see this Forge out of Boruken. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm an absolute Forge enthusiast. Not to mention, you know, I think Frozen has its place for sure, generally speaking, but I think that Forge is just made for tower. You have that suction bomb to just clear tower. Obviously, you just saw that Booyah, so they do go down, but I think that is definitely a valid adjustment. But once again, you always have Buchinbi with the crab on the dualies, just really doing a good job of harassing the other team, doing their splat bombs, and I think Arimaka doing a really good job of just pressuring that drop.
Right now, Neon still hasn't gotten to that first checkpoint. They pushed the lead to 82, but not a lot of progress past that point. Now that we're seeing Dolce Espressivo on the move on, we have a Bria bomb on the side, in the back pocket of the board. Once again, that 2-meter Dart Daniel is holding on the line. The lead is immediately taken, and look at Bria bomb now finally being thrown out to Neon's spawn. The Patek also being fired off. I think they spot the S-Blast there as well. Good to spot the flank if you're Dolce Espressivo.
Yeah, that stall on that Booyah bomb, no pun intended, is a pro move, quite frankly. Whoa! You see a splat there on Rate, and then on Buchinbi on those dualies. Really great double out of, I believe, Sabrina Carpenter on Senjo there, but I think that Neon now coming back with a vengeance. And the name of the game for them is really going to be capitalizing off these picks. Sometimes you see them getting these really neat, really strong picks, but it's just not showing in their progress. You see, they've only just gotten onto the tower, making their way towards that first checkpoint, so we'll see if they're able to keep this push alive.
Again, Neon's opening this with 2 members down, but you were saying that they're kind of lacking a lot of follow-up right now. It's looking like there's only 1 member, maybe 2 members left from Neon beyond the tower here. Doug Daniels just looking on that first type of single eye. Luck is going down, however, the strength is coming out from the bucket. We're seeing the dualies fired off on the platform with 2 members down. Dualies are eyeing now the spawn, and with Patek Cooler becoming active here, we may start to see another all-start on their hands, especially with the leader going down. And the dualies are in, but they get immediately shut down.
And you see, they literally still have a presence there. That's 2 members going down, make that 3. They finally take the lead. It feels as though they put in so much work, and, you know, they might be able to get this knockout because I think they are in the position to really be where the snowball starts. So even though 2 of their members go down, they're still there. But I think with Luck getting this fantastic pick, this double, I think gonna go for the triple, but gonna wait. You know, they're on cooler duty. They say, let me not overheat too much. They are able to get that last kill for them in 3, get that paint down, and just really neatly making sure that they shut down what could have been a disastrous push.
Definitely so here, but the damage from Neon has still been dealt. 18 points, definitely nothing to stop after 1 minute, 20 seconds on the clock left for Dolce Espressivo. They need to make these pushes work now, and already we're seeing the Red Ringer go down. The S-Box on the side of Neon going down, however, but it's looking to be a skirmish in mid that is evenly matched for both teams with 2 members down. We're seeing this pencil posted up on the tent being an overall nuisance for Dolce Espressivo to walk forward here. This Red is trying to make an effort. Same thing with the Forge, but they both go down to both the combined efforts of the pencil and the crab tank. So now there's 1 minute left on the clock for Dolce Espressivo to make this push work to get to past 18.
Yeah, you see 2 members in 1 getting punished. I think, you know, never forget that you are up against a leader, you know what I mean, and the fear that comes with that, but all fall down in the face of AoE on tower. But I think still, Dolce Espressivo can't be taken down that easily because they are still going for now, and quite frankly, if Neon just lets this push happen, once again, very snowballing map. 2 of their members went down, but they might be able to break that lead. But with that third member, and I believe this is the Dreadbringer that has the crab, we'll see if they're able to continue, and it's not going to happen. Bringing, I think, Nyan up. Is that 2-0?
That is 2-0. They took that. They took the first set in a decisive last couple of seconds, and then maybe in a similar story to last game, they take the lead back right before that 1 minute mark, forcing Dolce Espressivo to sort of scramble things out here. And then as the game entered its final seconds, the numbers on the end of Dolce Espressivo were just stretched too thin. It was only the Dread left. They did have that jump secured here, but there weren't a lot of people riding the tower. So unfortunately, it now puts Nyan at match point, and this potential final game of the set of winners bracket semis will be played out on Clamblitz Umami Ruins.
Clamblitz Umami Ruins. I think this is such a volatile map mode. You know, Umami's usually guilty for making people worry about lockout. And it is clams. You have to worry about lockout a lot less on clams, but sometimes in Umami, what can end up happening is if a team has enough offensive power, then you're just sort of stuck in your spawn doing everything you can to just, like, as I call it, and as you've heard me call it, Rostix, get the rats out of your basement. People will come in with a push and they'll be on your snipe, they'll be in your court, just bombing out your entire livelihood, really, and it can just be so hard. As soon as you think you've gotten rid of all of them, there's someone you didn't account for who puts in an extra clam.
Yeah, like, I think now more than ever you really need to take into account that staying power when it comes down to Clamblitz pushes. I think we already have seen Nyan's capability to keep that clam basket open on Brinewater Springs, so I think we'll just have to see it play out here.
Absolutely, but even though they're up 2-0, it's not going to be an easy task. Once again, unlike tower, where you're kind of on a moving target as the leader, you should be on tower, and so you're moving and you're trying to aim. This leader, if they do, and they do, decide to keep it, is going to be up on snipe, just pointing and shooting. So I think it's going to be a lot harder to get positioned under basket and get those in. And then, of course, you've got luck on those really volatile dualies that can just... We saw them get that triple in that last game. So even though they're up 2-0, I think Nyan has their work cut out.
Definitely so. Especially when Dolce Espressivo is now back on Trojan Pro, the missiles have returned. And when the team gets really pumped up and those missiles come flying, they cover a lot more space than you think they do. And of course, we're seeing the team start to skirmish once more to get maybe the numbers advantage, to get the space advantage, to get that damage falling, the food in their favor. Once again, the dualies love being able to trade out the market here. But now Nyan has 11 clams to their name, but here comes the Dread with the Bleak Slider here. I'm not sure if it's getting punished just yet, and I think will allow Dolce Espressivo to play a little bit more forward, but they're going down, I think, to a double collateral from that S-Blast here. It's just an all-out bloodbath.
Absolutely. I think that what we kind of saw in that last game from Espressivo is that Nyan was kind of winning out in terms of getting picks. Like, they were winning their 1v1 while maybe lacking a little bit in pushing objective. So I think that Dolce Espressivo doing a really solid job of playing a little bit more careful and recognizing that they might lose some of these fights, but I think once again, to nobody's shock, we see that 1v1 ending up in a trade between G and Luck on the dualies. But yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing in terms of Dolce Espressivo really slowing down, biding their time, keeping their space, but they can't slow down too much, because I think we're already in a situation where they may be able to make an attempt on the basket.
Exactly, they had that power climb ready to go. They did pop their specials here, but now it doesn't look like that, I think, Oh, yeah, sorry, I think I got the colors mixed up right now because Yan is going to be able to get that first barrier break here. I think they're being warded off in the basket a little bit, especially considering Dolce Espressivo has the wave breaker as well that can chop up the territory, forcing Yan to start dancing. And in a similar maybe story to Prime Motor Springs, Yan's first push will only be the initial power climb.
Yeah, but not good. As we always say, you want to get it down to 60 because it means that now Dolce Espressivo has a free power clamp. They didn't have to do much to get it, and if they're able to make a natural one, all it might take is just one push, and that power clamp can make all the difference between a W and an L. So you have Arimaka here trying to like sort of take their space. If it's not going to work, they are going to be mowed down by this pro moving forward. And you know, once again, like I pointed out, Dolce Espressivo being a bit more careful, holding the space, seeing what they can get away with.
Definitely so. Like, how far can you push up without being kind of traded off? And I think right now Dolce Espressivo is slowly starting to get their feet on the gas pedal. Here comes the first power climb as well as a Dread Ringer reslide here. The barrier has been broken and the lead has been taken. Dolce Espressivo pushes it to 74 before getting wiped out by Neon, who will immediately start storming mid, at least not without another fight in their hands here, because at least both teams have one member down as we return to another Umami bloodbath.
Yeah, absolutely. And time is wearing a little bit thin. We are just under 120 seconds. 1 minute and 20 seconds. So I think this crab is going to come out and try and just get some chip, see what they can get. It's not going to at least get the pick, but as you can see, Yan really pressing down the gas pedal and shocking absolutely no one. I think we have a trade again for BCB. So right now it's going to be about that follow-up, and I think all of the members are going to be down for now. So Yan transitioning into a bit of a defensive pose to make sure that Dolce Espressivo can't get any sort of positives out of getting some of the members down.
We block all entryways into mid, especially by the basket, because Dolce Espressivo need to make this work now with 30 seconds left on the clock. We do have a power climb lying in tow as well as a re-slider, but here comes a grab teammate that's really good at just stalling out progress when you're seeing the leader back up here, and no one is willing to go past the rectangle here. We're seeing at least the members of Dolce Espressivo starting to trickle in a little bit more into mid. The wave breaker is going to come out from the E-leader. I think there's a second power climb that's being built by Neon. I think they're actually holding to get things going, but there's two members down on each team here. It needs to work in overtime. Dolce Espressivo does have something volatile, two power climbs. If both of them connect, this will allow them to push the really clear, but now here comes the strikes as well as potentially more stressful. Dolce Espressivo cannot seem to break out of mid. Overtime is almost over. There's one member down in each team. Once more, they're getting closer and closer to that clam bastion here, and no! They won't be able to get any power clams in, and it's like we've been saying, Sasu, there just isn't enough time, not enough resources, so Nyan, once again, will take these sets in a 3-0 sweep. They have their tickets punched to finals.
I am shocked, Frostix. I'm genuinely shocked. Usually I have a good, I don't know. I have a good feel for how long overtime is. You'll often hear me call, it'll still be an OT and I'll say, I think that's game. There's just not enough time. And then you hear with me saying that whistle will be called. And I didn't feel that coming to the end. I really thought they could do it at the end of the day. I was waiting for their Dreadringer to get that Reef Slider and then for the two power clams to go in. But like you said, there was just not enough time. I am absolutely shocked, and quite frankly, yeah, that's ending in a 3-0 sweep, but I think if we're being honest, both of these teams very close in seed, and you can see why. Those were close games. All of them, I'd argue.
All of them definitely were close, and they were really, really action-packed with fights and skirmishes lasting a very long while here. It shows why both of these teams are kind of at the upper end of the seeding here. Wow, yeah, I'm just as I am shocked. it's a lot to keep up with here, and it's really amazing just to see like a lot of high level teams go and clash up against each other. Not just high level teams, but high level players as well from across the globe.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, this is double elimination. So Dolce Espressivo in a tiny bit of an upset. Of course, they are the second seed going down to our third seed, but they're going to be working on that in losers bracket. So I think we might be taking a little bit of a short break while uh while we wait to go in there. Maybe not too long. Maybe a little break, but in the meantime, maybe get a snack. Don't forget to stay hydrated, and we'll be right back. Hello, and welcome back to Ctrl+Ink+Delete number 2. We are back again, this time with Winner's Bracket. Finals with, I think, our first seeded team and our second seeded team. In case you're just joining us, I'm Sasu here with Frostix, and I'm excited to get into these games, but what do you think about this matchup, Frostix?
Well, we've seen Neon two times around already, so we have at least a good hold of what Vortex, Team B, and well, I think I forgot one of the names that you were analyzing within the break.
I gotcha.
Again.
Vortex, Arimaka, Butinbi, and Rate on pencil.
Okay, so we definitely know how these four players have been going within the last two sets. We've seen them, but now they're going up against perhaps a all-star lineup of players from the General West: Jared, Brand, Q, and Gray. And oh wow, we're already back on Rhinewater Springs.
Yeah, that's gotta be a jump scare. When you are just trying to play your little tourney, you're the third seed and you're trying to get this dub, and then boom, you've got Jared, Q, Bran, and Gray on your tail. So I think that Yan has their work cut out for them essentially. And already, I think that's Rate down. Also, Vortex down as well, and they are just taking no prisoners. That's another thing. Their name is in French, so I'm gonna have to blame Gray for that, but because I'm bad at French. But as you can see, their pace is just breakneck. Another two players down, and they're ready to score probably already.
So already pushing up with one power cannon, Blaze breaking land, some more picks onto the side-legged Scene. I think that is Jared firing off with a grab tank, and Volacte still have a lot more ground to keep this power within, to keep this basket open, already pushing past that 59, past the 50 threshold, definitely soon, but now they're really passing through their points. Within the first pick, is that a second power slam has now hit the basket, extending Volacte's lead to 21.
Yeah, they are pretty much the Splatoon Avengers of the West that Neon is up against. This is not going to be easy. People, of course, have been talking about the strength of Japanese teams, but our teams are nothing to scoff at either. You see this way coming in. I think Neon realizing that they're gonna have to pick up the pace, because in just one push, I think in less than a minute, Volacte was able to go all the way down to 21. So they're looking to get to that 60-point mark. Two of their members go down. I think that might spell the end for their push, so they're not going to hit that magic 60, but we've seen Neon as well. Even though they're up against a difficult team, sometimes they can just bring it back.
Oh, definitely so, and we've seen how they were able to bring things back on Rhinewater before, and already the team had a grab ready to go. I think they're going to be popping out immediately, thinking with a bubble off. Alright, I mean, that is on Neon's side, that's on Volacte, because they're already breaking Neon's power basket. They're already opening the plan basket for Volacte, extending their time in over. But I think right now, with not a lot of points being added to Volacte's scoreboard, all it's doing is adding more power fans to Neon's back pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. They were not able to make a dent in their score, and I think in that last push, all they unfortunately did was increase their penalty up to 29, I think. It may have been a little bit more than that before, but you have this extremely aggressive grab coming out of, I think, maybe Jared, question mark, but with this jump-in going on here, it is Jared. They are able to open up that basket. They're down to 10, but I don't know. I think that the Raps have been successfully removed from the basement, and so that basket is going to close back up at 10.
Still ample time though for Neon to get things going, but with 3 members down, I think 2 members at least down at the moment, so Neon still have a lot of things to sort out before they can start going for a push, and the S-Class going down once again. I think the S-Class in the hand of Gray, using the pencil time to get the bonus chip onto anyone for the ball on the So the team is already eager to start pushing in. They have that power plant ready to go. Right now, they're holding mid. Really effectively, Leon being charged by Ray. Work here, potential time to snip out. Even coming decapitated with Bubble, as well as Jared popping out the crab, getting rid of Vortex on the Vulture here, and now it's only a matter of time until that power clam, until a second power clam is flying in, and with a second power clam hitting the
A
basket
third.
once.
A third power clam. Yes, they were at 10. They had a penalty of 20, so they broke it open with a power clam, put in another one to get rid of their penalty, and that is a third one from .Q ending the game.
Yeah, so with 3 power clams hitting Neon's basket, it was just a constant onslaught from Voie Lactée.
Yeah, maybe rename themselves to Voila, because honestly, I feel like I saw a little bit of almost panic maybe out of Neon there. It seemed as though their pace was just relentless from Voie Lactée, and a lot of it was just sort of damage control rather than being able to get in a clean push. But I do think, obviously, we saw them score on basket and get a pretty good push in there, even though I don't believe they're able to get below 60. So clearly they have the strength to get the picks and move forward. But I think now that they see what they're dealing with in our first seeds, some of our best on the scene, they're going to have to adjust accordingly if they want to stay in this and not move down to losers.
Yeah, you were saying, like, we've constantly seen how, I guess, aggressive and willing Neon were to take fights here, but I think we saw finally a bit of that within Voie Lactée. We saw just how constant the pressure was coming from members like, I think that was Q on Decav and also Jared on the dualies here, just constantly being a upfront, frontline threat. It's like they're on their Batman and Robin timing, so really constant pressure coming from Voie Lactée. So game number 2 will be on TC Museum here. Maybe something that is going to be a little bit less of a immediate kind of a team fight map, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't paying close enough attention. You did mention that it's .Q that is on that decab and not pencil. Is it Bran that's on pencil?
Actually, no, I think it probably is Bran. Maybe it's Bran on decaf, maybe it's Q on pencil. I think that does check out that Q would be on pencil.
We'll double check now to make sure.
Oh, come on!
Yes, Q on leader with a bit of a changeroo. And Machine, this is a really interesting comp. Bran on Machine, Gray on that S-Blast, mirroring Arimaka, who is also on S-Blast. And I think Q deciding to maybe have question mark a little bit more fun. Is that fair to say? In an easier pick.
Oh yeah, I think on a map like Museum, it does have some open sidelines that E-leaders would definitely benefit from, and that Kraken on the C-leader kit, always good for staying on tower. But right now, when you have the CB storming you, maybe it doesn't matter though when you have the rest of Voie Lactée there to assist you in two quick shots here in a crab to shred one more for Voie Lactée. One more thing to point out in Voie Lactée's comp, Jared on S-Blast, so that's going to be their solar option this time around, coming to the front line. And Ray is farming, charging up the Booyah Bomb for Ray to throw on the top of it.
Yeah, we saw that Booyah before, and now with the rise of S-Blast, you see a lot more use of Booyah, and like I said, it is a pro move to just hold on to that Booyah. It's very much, ironically enough, like an E-leader. When you have an E-leader on a team, regardless of if you see that E-leader's aim, you are afraid of it, rightfully so. You stay out of sight lines, you play careful, and you see that Booyah taking 2 members out. And look at this, Voie Lactée is just relentless. Yab, once again, is in damage control.
Exactly, and look, he was making sure that the sight lines on both the high ground and the low ground, getting rid of both vortex again. a displacement threats here. They're still very much pushed up in Neon's upper spawn here. They push the lead to 20, almost into the 19th. Jared's gonna drop the builder for themselves as well as Bran here, and they're still sticking in this fight, able to trade out the S-Blast here. So Volacte are not intending to leave anytime soon.
And can we talk about Q instead really opting to just pick off from behind instead of riding power? We see Rate, the potential going down in a trade, I think, against Jared. But finally, Neon had successfully gotten the rats out of their basement. They've gotten out of spawn, and they're moving along with the strikes and going to look to see if they can put some points on the board. And they do so. No longer in zero jail, but Tower is heading back, so still having a little bit of trouble with their push.
A lot more trouble coming their way. Bran has a Bria Bomb charged up, and here it comes. There's also a Bria Bomb being charged up by the S-Blast on the side of Neon, which will get rid of Gray. Q has a Kraken ready to go that could potentially prove to be a little bit more displacement. Both should be firing off with the Crab Tank here. It could delay it even further, but Q is now striking with the Kraken, forcing the dualies off the tower here, and that Kraken will at least get the pick. Close range. Q, it does not matter what range the leader is in. Those tap shots will claim 2 victims nonetheless.
That was a crazy play. It is not often that you see a leader getting a point-blank shot, not just out of their Kraken and lag, but then just going 1v1 with a melee weapon and coming out on top. Of course, Volacte has once again forced Neon to work at their pace, so to speak, and Harimaka going to get a crucial pick, I think, on Trey before going down. We have this 1v1 and just dispatching of, I think, not Vortex, but Buchinbi on the dualies, and with 1 minute left, I think that Volacte is really well poised to just sort of play defensive or just keep on their attack.
Anything. I think they're eyeing to start the onslaught once more here already. That is one Bria Bomb being charged up on the side of Volacte. The tower is lost, but with Jared still sticking on it, ensuring that it's constantly within motion. It is still moving. Buchinbi's firing off with the Crab Tank here. And he's also eyeing a potential flank in mid here. The blaster's gone down. There's still a Kraken ready on the side of Volacte. That should be good for just cheesing out the potential last couple seconds. But Q is also just sniping things down. Once again, getting a pick onto the S-Blast here. And, you know, laws of physics dictate an object that is in motion is staying in motion. And that's what this tower's doing right now.
Yeah, Buchinbi goes down. I think, you know, Q getting in a little bit of target practice before going into the DD Kraken, ending Neon's even attempt at, you know, having a Cinderella runs, but like a comeback. You know, wow, what a dominant game, especially from Q there on that leader. Just impressive playing we were witness to.
Love to see those shots connect, and not even when they're charged. Those tap shots.
Tap shots
mentally,
on a leader.
Maybe I'm still there when Q's backed into a corner. They just land the shots anyways. Volacte has the answers, which puts Volacte at match point as we go on to a potential last game in the set, which will be on Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime. Something that we've seen from Neon in the past.
Oh my gosh, yes, we have seen Neon here, but we have not seen Neon against our absolute the Avengers of the Western scene in Volacte, our first seeds. We saw how aggressive they are, and I think this actually ends up being a little bit more unfortunate for Neon in that the objective is stationary. So when they're having, we've seen them a lot of the time in damage control mode, trying to manage and get rid of all of the people that are just very oppressively fighting them. And if .Q decides to stay on that leader, having the leader on their plat, making it impossible for any of them to drop or make their way towards plat is going to be a nightmare. They have their work cut out for them getting into mid.
Definitely so. It would be a really good play to at least constantly keep pressure on Plat. That way you can drive these like really pivotal midline and backline weapons on the side of Volacte out here. Even still though, you need to watch out because a maybe a counter push when you have a leader that's posted up on the high ground of Barnacle and Dime spawns can still be lethal. And seeing Q's aim, they are deadly with the scope and deadly with the squeeze, able to get just a lot of good picks with the range that E-Leader sports. So, of course, this is a potentially last showing for Neon here. They do now have to pull a reverse sweep if they want to have their tickets punched into Grand Finals. So we'll just have to see if they get knocked down into losers bracket or if they will still be staying in the fight.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see what both of these teams are running. I imagine Yan will be exactly the same, but Ray instead doing a bit of a switcheroo to that Rapid. I think that Volate maybe being very fair by passing around the cooler duties between all of the members. I don't think a single member has been on cooler duty more than once, giving everyone a try. But we are going to see that Zimmy, of course, with the bubble, which is super helpful here, as well as a splash. And speaking of Crab, of course, we have Uchinji, who we saw last time on this exact map mode, just making quick work of a lot of people. So I think Nyan being very careful because they know that they can't afford to fight here.
Definitely so here, but their numbers are already wiggling. Space is immediately being overtaken by yellow, and that is Volacte's pink. They're already pushing up onto land towards the splashes, of course, firing, or not firing off, but farming for their next grab here. Already been working on a pick onto Vortex, long range with a bomb, I think, but looks of things. Of course, there's another bubble ready on the hands of Q, and Volacte's almost within knockout range. The bubble's being popped on Black here. They're entering the 10 HP on the being knocked down by Neon. Same thing with the tri-strikes with zone in neutral, but maybe, and like I said before the game started, Volacte has the answers to make sure they don't get the zone flipped, and within a single push, Sasu, Volacte will knock it out 3-2-0 in the set.
Yeah, you can quite tell that Nian was really in a state of panic at the end there, because I think that I would expect that they throw out the Booyah with some subsequent strikes since they have that S-Blast and that bucket. But only the Booyah went out, and of course you need follow-up from a weapon to be able to paint over with that. So I think that would have been enough for some of the members to maybe back off, go paint over the zone, give them a little bit more space to breathe. But, you know, it's hard to breathe when the other team has their foot on your neck. I think that, you know, Volacte once again, and voila, they ended out in a semi-quick 3-0.
Exactly, yeah, just not allowing Nyan to get maybe a glimpse of what mid looks like on Barnacle and Dime. It's like they pulled what Nyan did perhaps to Dolce Espressivo to them. So now in this case, Nyan will be knocked down to losers bracket. They are at least have their tickets punched to losers bracket final, so they can at least take a little bit of a break while waiting for the teams in losers bracket to play things out. And speaking of waiting, that is what Volacte is going to be doing a lot more of.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we will be, dropping down to, I believe, loser semis, while Volacte just hangs out a bit and waits for all of this to play out. So it's hard to remember just how strong of a team Nyan was. They got rid of, I think, the second seeds in a 3-0, albeit a close one. So they're going to be there waiting for the winner of loser semis, which we will have for you very soon. So don't go anywhere. We're going to go on a short break.
After a pretty sizable break, we are finally back with Ctrl+Ink+Delete number 2, after witnessing a total domination from Voie Lactée in Winners Bracket Finals. We've dipped into Losers Bracket, where we witnessed the previously seen Dolce Espressiva going up against seed number 4, if I remember correctly. Seed 4 Mud. Oh, 3? No, it's 4. I think
Am
it's 4.
I crazy?
Because
Well.
Neon was 3. So
I thought you meant Neon. My apologies.
Seed number 4 is who Dolce Espressivo are going to be going up against, and that team is Money, consisting of Ezio, Nathan, Tan, and Gold. I've met I know at least basically the entire roster because I met them all at Gommel. And speaking of money, one thing that we didn't mention throughout this entire stream so far is that there are $40, I think in US currency, on the line for the winning team.
Yeah, this tourney has a prize pot, which is perhaps why you see top level players appearing to make sure that they can snatch that bank, but it's not quite in their grips yet. Of course, we're gonna have to go through losers before we are able to do that, but so far we are gonna be starting on Crab-like, and I know that Espressivo, I believe they have that leader, as you can see. And as I always say about Crab-leg, range is king. So Dolce Espressivo is definitely set up at this current moment to perhaps get a win here with this new leader, able to just snipe anyone who comes forward.
Oh, well, immediately there's that first pick onto Gold to begin with. No scramble for Money so far. That being said, one thing that Money does have is displacement in space, and that is coming in the form of Tan's missiles. I wouldn't want to doubt Tan on that Forge Pro here. That could really displace Dark Daniel out of position. We're seeing Gold try to get a couple flashes onto his Stillion. Here coming the missiles from the Frozen Pro, all 10 missiles, I think, onto the leader, which will open up a potential push for Money, but right now, Dolce Espressivo are still in control of the zone.
Yeah, both of these teams are running a Frozen Pro, so they have those missiles for the back line to displace them and make sure that they don't get a clear shot, or in this Pencil's case, maybe some clear chip there. But also of note is that even though Dolce Espressivo has that leader, as we remember from those other games, their leader plays quite aggressively. You don't necessarily always see them on high ground like you see most backlines and most chargers, so they may be able to be caught off guard. But 3 members are going to go down from Dolce Espressivo, and this Pen going to be caught a little bit in zone, and an immediate blowing up of Goldilocks. I guess the crab was just not right.
Yeah, Gold's crab immediately exploding. I think there's another crab though on the hand of Money. I think that's going to be in the hands of the Flash, of course, here. This leader though being constantly pressured out by Money, who is now on counter. The Frozen Pro is down, but this Dread is probably eyeing to get the Slider ready to go, especially considering Money is going to start counting down in their score. You see Gold has the crab ready to go. Tan has more missiles. Here comes the Re-Sliders though. Watch out, Tan, because that would have gotten you if you did not step out. So the missiles do fly out, and Money are still in control of the zone. They're deadly close to that 30 threshold here. This could be a trade of hands-off here, assuming that Dolce Espressivo do hold the space, and yes, they do.
Yeah, I think that 3 members are going to go down from Money, so they immediately said, let's commentators curse you, and make sure that we don't let them hang on to this too long. So I think ultimately it's going to be a case of living and perhaps like a bit more conservative play out of their leader. But you know, if that's not how you play, that's not how you play. Left being checked by this Pencil once again. Crab-like range, it can be so difficult to go in there. You see Pen player just getting off those shots, and I think that the strategy here for Dolce Espressivo essentially is luck, getting that cooler, and then everybody moving in with the slider, painting over to make sure that they get the zone. But you see, luck once again gonna go down, and finally it is successful, and they are able to stop that disastrous push for them down tonight.
But the damage from Money has been dealt. They push the score all the way to the single digits of 9, which is forcing us Dolce Espressivo to play a little bit more risky. And you see the pen player, this isn't just any pen player, this is Ezio on the pen. They're already trying to eye out the members of Dolce Espressivo, but now they're out of their penalty. But here comes the specials in spades from Money. The cooler comes out from Ezio, and 2 crabs come out from Money, putting the zone in neutral for the moment, but it's still being controlled by Dolce Espressivo here. Slider comes out from Dreadringer here. Dolce Espressivo is deadly close to getting the lead. Yes, they will. And with 2 members down on Money and a booyah from Dart Daniel, that's going to be a lead swap and a knockout from Dolce Espressivo.
Yeah, that it's been a while since I've seen such a confident call out. Maybe perhaps their backline just knowing that you know, when it comes to how big it is, big the stage is, they're just not going to have the time regardless. So you see they get their final pick and they just kind of turn to camera, give a booyah, and it's very much so the aura, the energy of walking away from an explosion. They really called their shot and knew that they'd close out the game with a win. They are on leader on Crab Leg after all.
That's true. When you enter Great City and you have that much range and pressure in the hands of a leader, and if it has the aim for it here, you're gonna have a really solid control over mid. And it's what Dolce Espressivo had for a little bit until Money started finding their footing here. They had a lot of displacement going for them with Tan firing off those missiles and 2 crabs, one coming out from Nathan, the other one coming out from Gold here, and those are really good for not just firing off, firing off onto a lot of the elevated platforms on Crab Leg. But going into game number 2, this is going to be on tower control, Manta Maria.
Oh wow. Tower control, Manta Maria, a map mode you see a little bit less often. This is tournament legal, but you know, I think just a lot of people, it can be really oppressive, especially if one of the teams is running any sort of blaster. It can just be so frustrating with all of the drops and staying on tower, and I think that a lot of those checkpoints are just so easy to contest from a defensive point of view. So both of these teams surely gonna have you know, their work cut out for them.
Definitely so here. So it's time to dive into things once more. I think Daniel's gonna be on all points splatling. That's gonna be interesting to witness. Meanwhile, oh, this is the
back one.
The back ball point here. Meanwhile, on the side of Money, we're seeing Ezio switch up to Bucket. Their in-game name of pen player maybe not holding up anymore. And Gold is going to be unheaded this time around.
Now, as much as these are a little bit surprising, honestly, we just don't see Manta all that often because anyone who knows anything about Manta knows that it is just not conducive to pen. This is absolutely not a pen map as an edit player. It certainly is an edit map. It plays really well and just one of the rare maps that does better with splatling. Hence, you're gonna see that ball point, but the back is coming out and quite frankly, a back, as much as we don't see it a lot in Western play, can make a push all the more oppressive. You need to stop people, and you need to stop them now, and all of your ink is just going into an absolute void. So I think with that, Money is going to send out these strikes and see if they can get a push going and take the lead.
Exactly. They are deadly close to that 64 lead that Dolce Espressivo said earlier, but with strikes coming out from the Frozen Pro on the side of Dolce Espressivo, things could be a little bit different, but that Frozen Pro is immediately checked and called out here. And this is Tan and Gold ensuring that fight, isolated fight, is not going to be fair for the Splash-O-Matic. So now, Money is getting ever so close to the first checkpoint. The missiles come out from Tan, the Cooler comes out from Gold. They're firing off onto Street and onto Plat, and that's going to be the lead now for Money.
Yeah, I think those Frozen Pros really useful here, seeing as though Manta Maria can be so cramped when you're looking at these streets and these checkpoints. You have a lot of people sort of standing on top of each other, and it can be an absolute nightmare when you're all marked with missiles like that. But you see Tan going down with, I think this is Luck, being an absolute menace in bunker and making sure that no one can really do anything. But Gold finally puts a stop to them kind of taking that space. Goes down in a trade that you don't want to see. Your edit, of course, has that cooler, so they've been put in a bit of a difficult situation.
But they're making the most out of this difficult situation, not allowing Dolce Espressivo to get that 56 lead they said earlier, but now with the backfiring out and sucking in all of Tan's or not Tan, but Nathan's bullets here, it could be a little bit more different now as Dolce Espressivo takes the lead to 54 here. Still, the lead is attainable so long as Money can get that tower out of their street and into the street of Dolce Espressivo.
And you see, that is the back pick. I think we were all kind of giving it question marks, but you know, when both of these teams are very evenly matched, it's really being a back and forth with just minuscule amounts of points being the difference between their scores, of course. And I think in that, you might want to pop that back just so you can eke out those points to get the momentary lead, because clearly the other team will have a difficult time pushing back. But I think right now Money is just focused on getting rid of all of the members of Dolce Espressivo, because a lot of them are prone to sharking, and I feel like they're low-key like landmines the way they keep fighting.
Oh, definitely so. Just playing a little bit of Minesweeper right now. But right now, they can play a little bit of Backbuster, get rid of that ball point here already. Dolce Espressivo suffering 2 members down. Is that Nathan? Oh, that's 10 trying to go in. But now Nathan's burst bomb will be able to get rid of Dark Daniel over there. So now, Dolce Espressivo is deadly close to getting this lead back. The crab is being fired off by Nathan here. They've reached the second checkpoint, and Nathan getting not just 2, but 3, securing the wipeout for Money and allowing them to take the lead. With 1 minute left on the clock, they're cruising now to that final checkpoint with Soda Bomb Saucer.
Yeah, that is a huge triple that we saw there, but I think even more importantly, Lux going down is going to make the wipeout, and I think we see a bit of a stat pad at the end with that popped crab. But I think ultimately, once you get to that 3rd checkpoint, it's sort of GG's, because I don't know if people necessarily know Manta Maria as a snowbally map compared to, say, a Ship Shape or a Hagglefish, but certainly you're kind of punching your ticket once you hit that 3rd checkpoint.
Yeah, definitely so, especially when the basically the area within 3rd checkpoint is practically your own spawn. If you're being locked out of your own spawn, it kind of is just the end of the line there, not just in a metaphorical sense, but in a literal sense, because that's where the tower's route ends. And well, we saw Money just play that really, really effectively, using their specials to just force Dolce Espressivo even further into what was left of their side of the map. And I think Nathan's crab being the herald of that really showed that they meant business into it. So the set is now tied up 1-1. We are no longer ending things on game 3 for One Sasu as we go in now to game 3. Clam Blitz, Scorch Gorge.
Yeah, both of these teams are close, and they are fighting for money here on this Scorch Gorge Clam. So we're gonna take a look to see if there are any adjustments. I don't think so from Dolce Espressivo, and I'm not sure that I'm seeing any necessarily out of Money either.
Nope.
So has somebody adjusted?
No, I don't. I think Money is still on their tower control comp for this one, so it'll be interesting to see how they'll play around this. I think it's a lot more flexible considering they have the bucket to play around the edges here. Same thing with the crabs just firing off onto Dolce Espressivo's court over there. And already, I think that's a lot of clams going into Ezio's back pocket. A push is definitely imminent with Tan firing off the missiles, but Ezio has been taken out by Lux, so this push not happening just yet. But the clam economy definitely in the hands of Money here as they get the first barrier break.
Yeah, what I will say is something we have to sort of pay attention to. I'd argue is the use of bombs and displacement, as you see here, because one of the hardest things about Umami Scorch apologize. All of the landscape kind of got to me, but Scorch is, you see right here, this ramp that Luck is kind of trying to take with paint. Pushing up there can be so difficult, especially if just bombs are bombarding that. But you see a soul read there from Luck is going to just throw down gold, and I think they're being flanked, but they're kind of amongst themselves trying to figure out their clan situation, and I think through that should have taken the lead, but I think that push may just as well be over.
Yeah, Ezio with the intercept getting, I think Ezio and I think Nathan, heralding that intercept, getting 2 members down and immediately taking space, but are they getting flanked? I saw it this way from Tan. The gold going down as well here. What is going on in mid? At least Money has another power clan lying in wait being collected by Ezio. They still hold the lead 77-65, but gold going down as soon as they jump out. Gold just can't catch a break. They still have strikes though to potentially put a stop to a potential Dolce Espressivo push, but now the strikes are being used to get Money into position. They're piling all their clams into Nathan's back pocket here, and that is with 2 power clams hitting the basket. Money pushes their lead to 42, and Tan is still skirmishing out. 2 picks left.
Yeah, it's just gonna be Luck who's up right now, but you know, you can't forget that there's a leader on the opposing team. You are not safe to just turn your back and keep on moving forward. But another feature, other than just that ramp that's difficult to go up as a choke, is that if your team wipes, just something about the distance, consider your own basket open. Because the other team can very easily just sort of organize and make an attempt on your own basket. So you gotta get, sometimes you risk it for the biscuit and you're just throwing in clams, but you can't afford to go down and wipe on a place like this. But you see, I think Money really organizing to see if they can make yet another push. So Dolce Espressivo is really just on the back foot.
Oh, definitely on the back foot indeed, and especially when Nathan gets another barrier break in their hands. But I think with 3 members down and only Ezio sharking in mid, I'm not sure there's definitely not going to be a lot of follow-up left. Now, did they realize that Ezio was in mid the entire time here? The missiles are going to be flying out from the pro here. Ezio's shark attempt not going to work so far, and now there's a barrier break for Dolce Espressivo. Now, with 2 members down, do they have the follow-up in their hands? I think someone did pick up the Penny Clan, but it's only the pro left, and they're being forced to back off with Gold and Ezio heralding that pushback here. So now there's going to be 1 minute left for Dolce Espressivo to get to 36.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate. I think that they did exactly what I was talking about before, where they were able to push up due to just getting rid of them from making an attempt on their basket, but they just didn't capitalize on it. I think the issue here is Dolce Espressivo is having a lot of struggles in terms of just living and staying power, which is going to prove especially difficult, being as though they only have 30 seconds left, and they're gonna have to, I think this might be us looking at one of, if not their last push on the basket, and when they do so, they're all the way at 68. They're really gonna have to sustain this basket to make sure, you know, that they can still somehow win this game.
Yeah, especially considering Tan and Gold were eyeing that basket with intense. Things could be cut a little short and sweet for Dolce Espressivo, because now overtime has begun. Money is holding mid with an iron fist, and you're seeing Nathan firing off with the grab here. They're getting intercepted by, I think that was the Peter Carpenter on the side of Dolce Espressivo, but there's 2 members down. Gold is still in mid trying to get those missiles off of him, but here, they're striking from behind. The head is in, but the power clam does reach the basket, but the time, this is like the 4th or 5th time it's come down to this out to, but there just wasn't enough time. Not enough. Okay, maybe the resources were there, but not enough time. So now Money will take game number 2 and put themselves at match point.
Yeah, wow, how unfortunate. I think that's the type of thing that you press the record button on your Switch because you're like, there's no way. Like, do you ever just angrily press the record button because just some upsetting stuff happens to you in a match? To me, that definitely gives that. Once again, you know, maybe I'm losing touch with my my sense of how much time is left, because I just wasn't, I guess, in tune to like how much time that would take, because I thought for sure they had it, and my mind was already on, oh, can they get the subsequent clams? And they didn't even break open the basket. Completely unfortunate, Faustus.
Oh, definitely. It's like they were just time was stretched far too thin, and money were just pushed up very much ahead on them to put a stop on Dolce Espressivo's push. They did manage to at least thread the needle, get that power clam in, but it still wasn't enough time. So this is a potential final game if Money takes it. It will be on Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi.
Yeah, and I believe we did see Dolce Espressivo already on this map mode, going up against Nyan earlier tonight. And given how strong of a team Nyan is, and the fact that for a long time it was just kind of back and forth before they eventually were able, I think, to get a knockout, I think that Money should actually be a little bit worried, especially because maybe that leader, that very aggressive leader, might be able to make some quick work of them. We'll see.
Not just the leader here, but now they are on Dreadringer, so that's going to be some potential sliders coming in to flip the zone. But already, Dolce Espressivo is being forced to push back. That was Tan trying to make an effort to push Dolce Espressivo back, and it did work. But here comes Zuka coming out and will be able to get rid of gold, but they're still holding the zone. They're almost at that 60-point threshold that will allow the water to drop here. And Tio is now going to start firing off of the strikes here. I think that was their slider is going to be coming in hot to immediately flip the zone for Dolce Espressivo, but Money is immediately flipping it right back.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, something like more aggression has to happen. But speaking of aggression, finally, there is a wipeout. There's nothing more aggressive than that, for sure. And so now, you have, funny enough, their shot taking their snipe here. You would think their leader would be there, but no doubt their leader, always aggressive, probably on the floor, seeing what hits they can sort of get at that lower level. But two are going to be down on either side, and even worse, Money has a grab ready to go. So as much as they may be in advantage state, they of course being Dolce Espressivo, it may be a little bit difficult having to deal with this grab, but you know, maybe not that difficult.
Yeah, especially when Dolce Espressivo is running a lot of weapons that can shred objects. Leader, Dapples, it just immediately breaks Nathan's trap. Here comes Ezio's strike. Is this what Money needs to turn things around? Zone is in neutral. The soda has been deployed by gold, and the zone has been flipped. 67 penalty points going to Dolce Espressivo here. Money needs to hold this zone for a very long time. They need to get it into the single digits, practically knock this zone out if they want to get this game and move forward in loser's bracket.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. You see this edit just trying to get that paint out. Of course, they're painting for cooler, but also they're up against a leader, which is essentially an edit's worst nightmare. So I think they're playing a little bit careful, and rightfully so. Biding their time, they finally were able to get that punish. That is a triple, and that will be, job, but they weren't able to do it. So I think right now we're going to be looking at a very unfortunate change of hands after this double, but we'll see if they're able to cap it. Just barely, two of their members going down. I don't think that they're going to have the paint appropriate to paint over this. I think that might just be the knockout after, wow, such a dominant position in the mid game there.
Yeah, it did look like for a while Dolce Espressivo had things going. All they really needed to do was get that Dreadringer positioned up and have that leader set up on high so that you have the eagle eye and the zone flip ready to go. But then Money just responds with just a bunch of bullets to their faces here, whether or not that's coming from Nathan's splash or Tan's Frozen Pro, or the strikes coming out from Etio, or especially gold. Man, that the triple coming from the Headed here, just unloading so much firepower on, which just allowed money to stay within there and get that lead, pushing it to the single digits, and like I said, practically knocking things out here. It did look a little bit really close at the end, especially when Luck was potentially going to have the jumps ready for Dolce Espressivo here, but I think Money had the right people positioned in the right time. Of course, Gold was still there after the dust had settled, but I think by that point, Nathan, maybe even Tan, and maybe even Ezio were already right back to punish those jumps, so that did put a stopper onto, well, not a stopper, but it did finally punch their tickets to losers bracket finals, where they will be going up against Nyan, who have been itching and waiting for a fight here. It is probably like, I don't know, 10 a.m. for them. It is 10 p.m. for probably the rest of Money, who are probably all playing this from Canada, actually. So,
Oh, yes. I who am in New York City, it is 10 a.m. for me, and some may call that, on some level, quitting time, at least for you and I, Frostix. Us 10 PMers. I think this may be our last set that we're casting on stream before we have to give it up.
I think it is actually, because we will definitely, yeah, I think we are going to see a switch up. Butters and Omazen will be swapping in to cast both losers bracket finals and winners bracket grand finals. So to see whether or not Nyan or Money will be moving to face Voix Lactée in grand finals here. It's a really interesting narrative. Will Nyan get their run back, or will Money get their 55 and 1 cent Canadian dollars by beating Voix Lactée? You'll just have to see in a bit. But before we break, it's time to do a little bit of plugging. Sasu, where can the good people of Twitch chat find you on the social medias?
You can find me at Sasu in your pants. Let me spell that out for you. That is SASUIN, the letters UR, and then pants. It's not YOUR like a normal person. It's UR. That's basically all of my social media, even my Discord. So feel free to send me a message to say hi, and that's where you can find me. But more importantly, Frostix, where can the people find you, and what do you have to plug?
Primarily like two and a half things. Both my Twitter at TK_Frostix, my Blue Sky at Frostix.bluesky.social, and my web novel cap here on Wattpad, and I swear it's worth your time. Anyways, like I said earlier, you are going to be hearing from Butters and Omazen next up, so don't go anywhere. Ctrl+Ink+Delete number 2 will be back in a bit.
Hello, everyone. We're back at it again. Thank you all for coming to Ctrl+Ink+Delete number 2. We're heading into the losers grands right now, or losers finals. We've got a great match coming up between Nyan and Money, two pretty good teams that we've seen go through the ringer today. We're hoping to end it with some great matches.
Absolutely, and hello everyone, I am Omazen joining Butters tonight on our cast couch, and as a part of our loser bracket finals, we've had quite the path here to end up here. We had a really tight semis match earlier where Dulce Expressivo went up against Money, who we now are seeing loser bracket finals. And they're gonna, you know, I would argue they're looking to maybe get a little bit of money themselves with a name like that, but they're gonna have to go through quite the goated JP squad in order to do that, Butters.
Yeah, we've seen them go through a whole lot of games just in the winners bracket, coming up into the winners finals where we saw an unfortunate matchup between them. But it's definitely going to be a lot to look for Money to look at right here. If they really want to get that money in, they're going to have to go through Nyan, and it's going to be a great match.
Oh, I'm sure. Looking back at the bracket too, both Money and Nyan have had the opportunity to actually play Voilecte. In particular, Money went against them in winner bracket semis, while Nyan went against them in winner bracket finals. And both teams, both went 0-3 against them. And I mean, if we take a look at who's on said team in our first seed placement, it's not that surprising. You have Jared, you have Bran, you have Q, you have Gray. It kind of goes without saying that you're gonna have a bit more of a difficult match, to say the least. But hey, it's still definitely some fun games to see regardless. And heading in here, we are gonna have really an interesting matchup since neither of them have had the chance to fight each other, and neither of them have like really been able to have such a decisive sweep yet. So I'm interested to see where this takes us now.
Very much so. Getting into our match, we're seeing a very similar comp coming out from both teams. Pretty close to exactly what they've been playing this entire set so far, so what we've been seeing. Great map we're opening up on here was Mako Tower. We're seeing the Team Nyan trying to take their enemy team stack to start off, and Crab comes out. We're taking one down to a bomb, and Crab's gonna get very little value here as two go down on the end.
Yeah, 3 down now on the side of Yan, just leaving that pencil player up. He's getting rushed by the Splash-O-Matic, barely able to take them out at the last second. Good shots from Good Dog there, but they're gonna jump out, leaving the tower to the hands of Money, who's currently trying to push it. They're struggling a little bit, but it's headed over here, getting some great picks, taking out both that Dooley and S-Blast, and creating an opening for their team to get some control of this left lane.
Going through the ringer right now, unfortunately goes down to the S-Blast as their Team Nyan is looking to make a counter push off the position they just got. S-Blast trading out right there to the splash. Strikes coming out from both teams as Nyan's looking to make the push here. Missiles coming out, hoping to stop that as two go down on Team Nyan.
Absolutely, and it seems like Money's once again try to go for a push here. Not able to find a pick on the pro as quickly as you would have liked, but eventually their teammate is able to come in and help out with that. And now it's just a game of ledges, kind of. This is always one of the hardest parts of Mako Mart in particular to push through when you're playing tower control. And it seems like Money had that little bit of difficulty come through their way too with how that push went.
We're seeing Pen on tower, Crab coming out from Team Money. Unfortunately, not going to be getting much with the bucket being right there to stop them. The Team Money's bucket going in for the tower, taking out the Crab on tower as Pen's being rushed down, forcing them to jump out, which they do, bringing 3 down on Team Nyan. Money's looking to make a counter push right here, holding out those missiles, holding out those strikes as both come out at the same time to hopefully get past this weird little corner right here as the bucket goes down to the Pen, and so does the edit.
Absolutely, and like we're kind of seeing the same thing play out over and over again on both sides so far. There hasn't really been a decisive, like, game-making play that we've seen yet. Like, we're consistently seeing, like, 2, 3 down on both sides, even wipes, but just both teams have been struggling to kind of find their true footing and being able to get a really killer push down. And I think that kind of speaks a little bit to the strength of both of these teams.
We're seeing a lot of good special uses coming up from both teams. 2 down on money right now as we're seeing the crab coming out on the stack as Booyah also comes out of their base. We're going to be seeing a lead switch here. The S-Blast being in their base with the crab is doing a lot of damage to money right now as Deanne is looking to make this final push here, bringing themselves to the second checkpoint and getting past that as they're looking to make it to the third.
Vortex playing that top right position, trying to zone out the tower best they can. Overall, doing not that bad of a job, but in the meantime, it seems like the tower just keeps going forward. It keeps moving, and now Nyan is going to just keep running forward. Like, they can't be stopped. This almost came out of nowhere, but that was the push that they needed in order to get a decisive win.
Great back and forth from both teams. Just Team Nyan got in there and was able to stay in there with their uses of specials. That Booyah Bomb and Crab coming out right when they hit the second checkpoint did a wonder for their push, taking out 2 of their members and putting the rest of the other 2 back to their base. It's very hard to come back after that.
No, agreed for sure. And I think that also speaks to just kind of the specials that we saw that Nyan was in particular able to make use of. You have the Crab, which does a good job at sustainability. But then you also have tools like the Tri-Strikes and the Booyah. They're able to help you propel forward, right? And on a map like Tower Control and Mako, where you have so many ledges that you have to keep tabs on, you have to use your main weapon and your specials to the best of your ability to get through certain chokehold points. And they did a really good job at that, so props to them. It was definitely a tight match regardless, though. For the longest time there, we actually did see the members of Money in the lead, and even though it did ultimately go to the side of Nyan, it just, again, speaks to the really high quality of this set.
Yeah, very much so. The special uses, as I said earlier, coming up from both teams was just really good. We saw Strike staggered to try and stop the other team Strike's user from getting in, and it was really close. Both teams did really good at doing that, as we saw at the beginning of the match. Unfortunately, for Team Nyan, fortunately for Team Nyan, they were just able to break through that mid hold and finally get a push together.
Absolutely. But let's take a look at what we have coming up next on the map list. In particular, that's going to be Clam Blitz on Barnacle and Dime. Kind of taking a little bit of a comparison of how this past match went and what we can maybe expect for the future. I think that we're going to kind of see a lot of similar sort of staggers go on, and probably some similar different kind of failed push attempts almost, right? Where you maybe get a ball in the basket, maybe you almost get a ball in the basket, but getting like that decisive lockout's going to be a bit more difficult. I know on a map like Clam Blitz, it's really easy to snowball forward, but I don't know. There's some similarities here and some potential themes that may make it a little bit slower than you think.
Yeah, we're seeing a very similar comp coming out from both teams. Both teams looking to do practically the same gameplay, get that crab up, get them strikes to get that crab in, and just see where they can go from that. Try and snowball in. Both teams trying to get into the mid as quick as possible. Let's get to it.
Absolutely. We see this S-Flash sharking here on the left snipe ledge, trying to just find a sneaky pick, taking a pot shot at the crab. Not necessarily finding value, but they do take out a bucket. Hey, you can't be too sad about that. Definitely a good pick, all things considered. And that's already 3 down on the side of Money as Diana's just lunging forward. They have the ball in hand. They got a crab in their arsenal. Unfortunately, going down to a really well-placed position there by our headed player. And now we're kind of seeing this stagger pop up again. Both sides are only like 2 up, and that's going to cause a little bit of an awkward situation.
Both teams looking to reset here and get back together. Strikes coming out and crab coming out on both sides. We're seeing a lot of stuff happen real quickly as both teams are really trying to just get out of this, break this neutral and get a push together. Pencil taking out one of the bucket as the rest of the team on Team Nyan are looking to get themselves together, that clams together and get that push started. We're seeing a bomb kill on the head as they're able to now break through with this and try and get a push together. The bucket goes down as the rest of their team is able to get a basket in. We're going to be seeing 3 down, though.
Really love to see that in particular. And, you know, the time might be up for today on the Switch, but the time is not up for the match. It's a really close, tight jump there, but a really well-timed one for our pro player here. They're trying to find an opening. They're able to take out the bucket. Not a bad pick at all. And just members of Nyan are constantly going down. This is go time. You need to get that ball in the basket, and you need to start throwing in all of your individual clams as well. And they are doing that. We do see them just at 5 remaining, but 2 down still on the side of Nyan. There's a chance to get lead. We do see lead flip, but it's going to just continue to be a bit tight if they're going to have the economy or not.
Time may be up for the Switch, but time is not up for money. And we know time is money as they're getting that basket in and continuing to make this push here, taking 2 more down on Team Nyan. They're really looking to just continue to push there as more clams going in, bringing the score all the way down to 27. An amazing push coming out from Money as they're just looking to get back into mid, hold that position, and stop Team Nyan from getting any foothold in mid and getting that clam economy back together. Cooler's coming out here as they're looking to get a crab together and get that Booyah Bomb off in a great position. Bucket, the blaster is taking out the bucket as the Booyah Bomb goes off and it's going to be killed for it.
Really great missile placement there on the Booyah. That was able to do a lot of good damage to this completely destroy what they're trying to throw out. And now we see only 2 actively up on the side of Money, 1 coming off spawn, and they're in a bit of a tight position here. This Crab's kind of the only major player here keeping Nyan away, and as it goes down, now it's really just push time here for Nyan. It's go time. They need to find a pick or 2, and they have the balls, they have the economy at hand in order to make something cool happen.
Coming in from behind, looking to get the pick on the crab. Unfortunately, they go down to that as Team Nyan has the specials, has the economy. They're going in. The strikes coming out. The pen getting rushed down and going down, but they do have the ball still. 2 down on the side of Team Nyan, as that might have been a fumbled push right there. A great play coming out from the splash, noticing the fact that they have that opening and getting in there and getting the pick. Clam does go in, but they're not going to be able to follow up with that as Team Money is trying to get back in the mid with their Clam economy and their special economy.
You know, I don't think that's necessarily even a bad play either to just back off and not in for a couple more clams in the basket. You're not necessarily going to flip lead when you're at remaining 50 points on the board. And you want to try to stay up as best you can, even if you lose a team member in the process. If you're able to keep a hold of mid and control of just your side of flat, you're able to try to get back in, and that's what we're starting to see right now. That pencil able to get a really good pick on Pettit. We do see strikes come out, but hey, the splash also goes down. You did just lose your pen, but you do have a ball. You have roughly 2 potential balls on the board, now 2 balls on the board. And if you can get those in, lead is pretty much in your favor.
One of the balls goes in, the other one goes in, and that's going to be lead flip for Team Nyan as they're able to finally get back into play here. The Doolies fighting for their lives, and they're winning somehow. Getting 2 as 3 seconds are left on the clock as Team Money needs to get that time in. They do not have the time, and they might not have the money for this as they're really trying to get that clan back together. They're losing mid-control right now as Bucket's trying to go in. They're almost out of time right now, bringing it down to the very last second. They're trying to run it. They're throwing the ball, and they're going to get it in a second.
What? All they need is like 1 or 2 hidden clams in there, and they do it! They actually get it! Holy crap.
An amazing last second switch of the lead from Team Money, bringing us to 1-1.
Yeah, that was literally like a top 1 matches of all time, low-key. Really good stuff from both sides. Nyan being able to take it back, really having, for what it was worth at that point in the game, a pretty safe lead. But Money being able to do like the practically never before seen thing of actually getting the last second clam push and being successful with it too. like sometimes you might see that ball go in last second, but oh, you're just a few points down and everyone's wiped and you can't actually get to the basket in time. But no, they were able to not just like get the clams in the basket, but they even had specials that they could properly pop and actually decisively use to take out some of the members of Nan. And that just enabled everything to flow together so wonderfully.
They saw an opening and they were able to take it. Time was not on their side, but they don't need time when they've got money. And we'll be going on to our next match on Robo Ramen Splat Zones.
Oh yeah. I mean, Robo Ramen, you either love it or you hate it. Personally, I'm a fan, but you can get locked out here. This can be a scary map for getting locked out on. And from what we've seen from both sides, neither side has really had the opportunity to decisively lock out the other. In tower control towards the end, we did see Nyan kind of pull that off. Debatably, we sort of saw the members of Money kind of pull that off a little bit on Clan Blitz, but going in here, I don't know how this is going to necessarily flow.
It's definitely going to be a close match. Both teams are have very good comps to this and want to do very different things for this map, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they want to go about completing their missions and getting in there and out of there.
Absolutely, we do see early grab. Really good stuff from the side of Money. That's going to be able to get some good pressure on the members of Nyan. Taking out the S-Blast 2 is huge, but now we see a crab from the side of Nyan who might be able to cause their own chaos.
We go down on the side of Nyan as our Team Money, as Nyan's looking to push back into here. They're going to be flipping zone right here at least. Pro is not going to be going down as the Dualies take an unfortunate loss right there. Team Money is looking to take back the lead here. Ahead is making a hard aggressive push right here on the right to force the Pen to back off, or at least look at them, as the Headed is going to be fighting the Pen.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty solid move by the Headed. Just absorbing some of the attention allowed the members of their team to also take some powerful spots via the glass, and also just being able to pressure the snipe and ledges of Nyan, which really just enabled them to get that decent little push of their own. But now we see the zone flip on the side of Nyan, who has some of their own specials that they want to kind of feed him Money.
Ten's being forced to jump out as the rest of Team Nyan's looking to make a push back into here. They do have Cooler ready to go in for this as they are looking to get another special in. Strikes come out, the Head goes down. This might be the opening they're looking for right here. The Pro and has their missiles, and Crab comes out. Pro goes down. The other Crabs are dueling. Zone's barely not painted as the bucket comes in from behind and takes out the approaching S-Blast.
Yeah, really good stall there from the side of Nyan, making sure that that zone didn't flip in the favor of Money. And now the clock is just ticking more down. We do see missiles come out, but hey, the members of Nyan have a Booyah out. And even though you did trade out the S-Blast, you're 2 people down, you're 3 people down now. Your Headed's not going to be able to stall the zone forever. And you're going to probably need that player if you want to push back in properly.
Coming up, they have the Crab ready for this engagement right here. The strikes come out trying to stop them from making a push. The counter strikes come as the Crab is about to be popped right here. We see the Crabs dueling each other right now. Unfortunately for Team Money, Team Nyan Crab is just a slight bit better in this scenario, as they're going to be able to retake zone here, counting down the last few seconds of their remaining points. 35 is not much to scoff at all, as they continue to keep getting picks and keep getting in there. It's going to be very hard for Team Money to come back from this, but it is definitely not impossible.
Oh, it is definitely not impossible at all. All you got to do is stay up long enough. You don't even have to necessarily get the flip you maybe are searching for immediately. If you can just hold your glass, get a couple picks, and go from there, you'll be golden. But I don't think we're necessarily going to see that, as that zone does stay capped, and we see this game go in the favor of Nyan.
Very close match between both of the teams. It's just really fortunate for Team Nyan that they were able to get that initial hold, or that hold after their first few bouts, and just keep holding it there. Their specials are really good at doing that, with the combination of them strikes and Crab being popped at perfect times to force them either to back into the strikes or face the wrath of the currently active Crab.
No, absolutely, and just all the different combinations of specials we saw too was really fun to see. Like the constant Booyah missile battles in particular have been pretty entertaining to watch, as the Booyah comes out, and then almost like not even a second or two later, you hear the little missile noise, and you're like, okay, someone's getting locked on right now. It's just a battle of who can actually maybe get out their special first.
It's a very interesting dichotomy between both teams, as they have really good counters for each other, and it's just up to who can get them out the fastest, who can get them out in the best positions, and really who can take advantage of them the best. Right now, we're seeing both teams go back and forth with that, and it's very situational.
Yeah, it definitely has been pretty situational, and I think that where kind of both teams seem to kind of like have their footing down the most comes down to just kind of like almost a clutch factor. I think Nayan's better at just generally holding things down, but Money just really comes through with some really goated hero plays. And I think like going into this next match, we're gonna kind of see like what matters the most. Is it gonna, and how does that necessarily play out on TC Eggplot in particular?
Very much so. It's going to be very interesting to see how these teams play, as Pen on this map is very good for defense, but is a lot harder to play on offense, especially compared to the Headed, which is going to give them a lot better offense, but a harder defense hold right here. Bucket's going to be running in, finding the other team's Bucket, but is going to be going down to the Pen as they are looking to get another pick here, or at least get something together here to make a push. Missiles coming out, hopefully allowing Team Money to push in.
Yeah, those missiles being really good for the side of Money, being able to make the Pen even just back up for a little bit, which allowed the rest of the team to move up to really good stuff. Love to see that. And now we see the members of Money trying to take out Silver Bats. And, you know, they're doing not that bad of a job from the looks of it so far, but they're going to have to clear checks in order to get real value.
The Headed being forced to fight the S-Blast, taking a great trade right there for their situation, as Team Nyan is going to be a lot harder to hold this situation with them down, as the S-Blast is looking to get back into the fight and help their Dualies out right here. The Pen goes down, unfortunately, and so does the Dualies, as the Bucket is the only one remaining on Team Money.
Oh, that flank could have been so cool if they maybe could have just been a tad more stealthy about it. Sometimes, you know, sharking around or just playing a little bit more low-key can be the move. So definitely still respect that play. But regardless, heading in here, we do see the members of Nan starting to push up. They are 2 down, though. Props to Money for being able to get some key picks, and it's really back and forth.
He goes down as Team Money is being forced onto their back leg right now. The Crab is coming out, but not going to find much effect other than stalling them for a few seconds, but who knows, maybe that's what they need, as the rest of Team Nyan is able to push up into their bats right now. They're having to fight an S-Blast in bats. It's not what you want to do, as Team Money goes 3 down. It's just the splash as they're looking to get a Crab together, or at least something to help finish or stop the other team from pushing in right now. They're really trying to rush in right here. Splash goes down, Booyah Bomb comes out, and it's not looking good for Team Money.
Yeah, it's looking pretty dicey here. Nyan on a complete steamroll, just getting more points on this tower. Members of Money just diving in, trying to stop it with everything they can. Unfortunately, they just can't. And that's going to be the set in the favor of Nyan as we see it go 3-1.
Great showing from both teams, as there was really close matches. Not so much for the last one, but there's not... You sometimes you'll win, sometimes you lose, but it was great matches from every other set right there, especially for that. We saw a lot of great stuff in that splat zones, with both teams being greatly utilizing their specials and getting the holds together. It's just, it was a great matches overall to watch the other teams fight each other right there.
Yeah, I cannot disagree at all, and I think that it's also really cool to see kind of this mix of different, you know, nationalities in our tournament here as well. It's not every day that you necessarily see a JP team pull up, so big shout outs and thanks to Nyan for doing so. Definitely really cool to see y'all here. And speaking of them, we're actually gonna see them pull up to our grand finals. It's gonna be a rematch, actually, of none other than winner bracket finals, as Nyan had to fight their way through a couple losers matches. But now we see them here once again looking to take a second stab at our goated +1 player pickup here with Gray, Jared, Brand, and Q repping Voy Lacte.
Very much so. And as we go into this final match, it's a great time to remind all of the audience what we're playing for right here. Not only are we playing for that $40 prize pool, we're also playing for an invitation to our invitational that's going to be happening late in October. That invitational is going to have a first place prize pool of up to $200, with the prize pool for second and third being determined at a later date.
Yep, and you will not want to miss it. And if you think that you might be able to, maybe have a good shot at grabbing one of those invitations, you can always also sign up for another future edition of Ctrl+Ink+Delete. In particular, we plan on running our next edition, Ctrl+Ink+Delete 3, on August 22nd, so in just about 2 weeks from now. So definitely stop by around then or sign up if you plan on maybe participating.
Yeah, as we're going into this final match, it's also another great thing to remind you all that if Team Nyan's brings us to bracket reset, they will be also invited into the invitational, as we have our bounty rule in effect, which is if you beat the team that wins, you get an invitation too.
Yeah, this is true. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see a little bit of that potential dichotomy here. But yeah, just looking forward to this next set. We did see the members of Voilocte take down none other than Nyan in a 3-0 earlier. So I do think they do have quite the, just set to stack up against and try to work their way around, especially when you have some of the top players in the West. But hey, they've also had a really good showing themselves, and Nyan at this point is probably very warmed up. Like, even though they did steamroll a couple of the matches they did play earlier, they still had a really tough fight via money and also a couple other sets as well. So I think that they are potentially in a little bit of a better spot to get I don't know, like be a bit more of a nuisance at the very least for Voilocte. And I think that they could also potentially even squeak out a win. We'll have to see though.
It'll be very interesting to see once again how these teams played. If Team Nyan has taken away stuff from their first matches to be able to come up with different ideas or different game plans on how they're going to take out or attempt to take out Voilocte, it'll be a interesting watch to see.
True. And in the incident that does happen, where we do see Nyan take the win, we are going to go to a bracket reset as they were our loser runner here. So it's going to be quite a few games, potentially, to say the least, ahead of us. But looking into this next match, we are going to be starting it off on Tower Control Hagglefish Market.
Pretty standard overall map and mode right here. It's not its best map and mode in my opinion, as we all know the Splatstone's the best one, but coming in for Tower Control, it's not bad at all. It's honestly top 10 maps, some could say. But it's going to be interesting to see how both teams take what they've learned from their last few matches into this match. What different comps we might see, what different game plans we might see. And if there is a map for it, it definitely is going to be Hagglefish.
No, agreed for sure. And I think that both teams are kind of known for their own level of cooking. We've seen the members of Nyan quite a bit so far this tournament, and they've kind of been mostly pulling out some of the same weapons, but they have been able to just create a lot of paint pressure and just space pressure with them. Going into weapons like Voilocte, I think that they might be able to get a little bit of value out of some of that via strikes and booyahs, but if Voilocte can just keep the picks up, if they can continue to just show this level of dominance they've shown us so far this tournament, it will probably not be much of a problem for them at all.
Very much so, but as we're just waiting for people to get into the lobby and get us started, as we're getting into our match right now, as we'll be heading on to, as we said earlier, Tacklefish and Hagglefish.
Oh yeah.
Let's get into the match.
We are getting right into it. A lot of the same stuff from both sides, but we do have a bit of an interesting E-leader pick, actually, from Q and Boy Latte. Very fun stuff. I'm really interested to see how that ultimately fights into what the Millers and Nyan are pulling up with. But already the Yes Blast and the bucket down from Nyan. That's a really good start if you're Boy Latte.
Very much so. As Boy Latte's looking to keep up the aggression with their pushes right here. The NZAP already getting in that position to make that picks right there. As two go down, though, as a well-placed Crab's going to be taking them out.
Yeah, that Crab doing a lot of good so far for them, as it's able to also find a pick on the machine, leaving only the Blaster out from the side of Boy Latte, who ultimately so far seems to be getting a double, just creating a lot of pressure continuously around the tower. This bucket doing a really good job of zoning and spacing out that Blaster, and able to team up with the Pen to ultimately get a pick on them. That's really good if you're Nyan. You have to move with this. You're like, we're in a top level grand finals right now. You have to just get going and get as many points on the board as you physically can.
So a real good pick from the E-leader right there. Unfortunately, they're going to be going down to a well-placed shot from the S-Blast. As two go down on the side of Boy Latte, Team Nyan's going to be flipping lead right here as Team Boy Latte looking to get back in. The NSAC finds one, is looking to find another, at least make them look behind them. Crab coming out as that's going to be forced.
Yeah, really good Crab there from the side of Nyan, able to just cause enough chaos to move that tower a bit more forward. And I really like how the members of Nyan are kind of playing this. That they're going for just all the little, like, the unique areas that you typically aren't really looking for a player in, especially when you don't necessarily have as much of the AoE as you otherwise may want with some weapons. Despite all of that, Boy Latte just running forward here and trying to find some good picks. Not able to find anything just yet, but great. Overall, doing a really good job at spacing out and pushing back the members of the match.
Team Boy Latte looking to just get some trades out here as they have the advantage with that soda up as they get 3 down right there with only losing 1. They're going to be taking the first checkpoint right here and looking to be taking lead right here. E-leader sitting up on their plat, holding that Kraken, waiting for them to drop onto them. They can get the pick, and 3 to go down on the Team Nyan. This Kraken's just looking to make some distractions right here, getting up to the position they want to sit in for a few minutes right here as Team Boy Latte gets a bubble up on that tower as they break that checkpoint.
A really cocky but still powerful Guia coming out from the machine to able to get 2. That's not bad when you're about to try to break through that final check, and great, also ending up in a strong power position here. It's going to come down to who can just keep those power positions as best they can and disable certain players like that Pencil if they're going to find that lead.
Team Nyan looking to get back into good positions right here. The Bucket's trying to get people out of their courtyard. Unfortunately, the NZAP's going to be forcing a 2-for-1 trade as the Boy Latte is getting back under their push right now. The E-leader's back on the tower, goes down to the pad as 2 down on Boy Latte, for allowing Team Nyan to get back into their courtyard and get themselves back together.
Absolutely. That Pen finding really strong value so far across this whole set, able to get good fights with its team members and also just get some good space. Unfortunately, going down to that member of Boy Latte though, but now we're seeing the tower once again in control of them. I don't know if we're even necessarily going to attempt for a lead push here. If you're Boy Latte, if you can just stall it out towards the switchback ramp, you're in a pretty good spot yourself, because that enables the rest of your team to move up and take power spots, and with that alone, you can borderline just spawn camp the enemy.
Very much so, especially coming into this last minute right here. You're really not looking to make a push as you don't really have the time or need to have the time compared to just holding positions right now. When you have that E-leader up and the ability to poke ledges with that blaster and sloshing machine, you really don't need to make pushes. You can really just do exactly what Boy Latte is doing right now and holding them in their own base, holding this game hostage right now as they're really just looking to stall.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what you want to be doing, and this Pen here trying to do its best once again to break through, playing off the strikes, playing off of the duels pressure. They were able to take out Gray. That's pretty good. They're also able to take out the machine. Not bad at all, too. But you're going to have to push this tower forward. You're not just going to have to get through one check, but you're going to have to get a little bit of progress done on the second check, too. And at this point in the match, if you can't find a team wipe, and if you can't stop a Kraken from lunging at you, I don't know if you're going to find it.
That's going to be first game goes to Void Latte. A great overall match from Void Latte right there, just showing what that E-leader is capable of, holding off the rest of the, just being a great anchor, able to hold off the rest of Team Nyan as the rest of their team's able to poke those ledges and be able to run the sightlines that they normally wouldn't be able to without that E-leader.
Absolutely, and just overall, really want to applaud still Nyan for their strong effort that match. They were able to cause a lot of chaos and just really were able to get really good picks on Void Latte at certain points in the match too, which enabled them to push as far forward as they did at one point. Like for, I don't know, a little over half of the match, they actually held a lead, which isn't bad at all if you're Nyan. So coming into this next match here on Splat Zone's Sturgeon Shipyard, I'm interested to see how both teams ultimately play off of what they have in front of them.
Very much so. It's going to be very interesting to see how these teams go into this map. It's not a very standard map to see at all, but it is going to be bringing us some interesting comps, some interesting ideas. We're going to be seeing that E-leader most likely coming back right here. It's going to be very interesting to see how Team Nyan is going to be wanting to deal with that, how they're going to change up their mentality or their gameplay to come in with a different figure and attempt to flip this back in their favor.
Absolutely. And I do think certain weapons like that E-leader were able to actually find a lot of value too from the side of Void Latte. I don't know if we'll necessarily see a leader here, although if you can get set up on snipe successfully and have your teammates back you and try to disable as many flanks as possible, you can just be in a really like borderline evil position that just completely prevents the opponent from really moving forward at all. And when it comes to just a map like this where it can get at times lockout heavy, I think that we're going to have to see either side really commit to just going aggro and just getting as many picks as they possibly can.
It will be, as you just said, very interesting to see what they attempt to do for our set right now as we get into our match.
Yeah, not too many changes comp-wise for the most part. However, there are a few kind of spicy takes from the side of Void Latte. And we also do see a B-Mini on the side of Nyan now. Definitely an interesting choice, and honestly, it kind of plays off of what I was talking before, trying to play a bit more aggro. If you can find good use of your hammer, you can get a lot of strong picks potentially. Unfortunately, coincidentally, going down there, not what you necessarily want to see, but now the members of Void Latte are running with that best they can, and they're trying to lock out most of Nyan.
As we're going to be seeing Team Nyan trying to come back in here, fighting the S-Blast Blaster, S-Blast range, or Rapid Blaster combo, as they're really just trying to find something to get in here with. The Crab comes out looking to try and get themselves a foothold. Unfortunately, the Rapid Blaster is just going to be able to sit right behind them and force them to go into their wall mode for a long, extended period of time, as the time is just ticking down on that, as Void Latte is able to get into their base and get a pick on their pen.
Yeah, that pick on the pen is going to be really powerful. Also, that pick on the bucket, too. Even though they did get the strikes out, that their team wasn't up with them to actually get proper value out of it. And your Crab also, unfortunately, taking a low position. Although, we do see 3 go down from Void Latte. It seems like there was a little bit of skirmish that happened off screen, and they were able to take out a couple of members. That's really good for them. That buys them time. Even if they can't keep the zone in their favor right now, they did just gain themselves quite a bit of penalty that now Void Latte has to work through. We were, by the way, just about to actually end that match.
As both teams are looking to continue to hold, the penalty is ticking away for Team Void Latte as they're really just trying to hold right here. 3 minutes left on that time, but they really are putting way more pressure than that time is, as Team Nyan is able to get in here and try and find 2 picks as they continue to push in, flipping that zone, giving them even more penalty than they had before.
Really loving the paint from this mini, able to help support the team. Unfortunately, going down to a well-placed suction bomb from the side of Voylocte. Definitely crossing them for that, but now it's going to be Voylocte's turn to try to break, and we do see Nyan have a really strong set of strikes come out that's able to stall out a couple of members of Voylocte from moving in. But this bubble here might just be the tool that Voylocte needs in order to properly push up.
As Team Voylocte is able to get that push back together, we're a bit over by 30 minutes right now. It's a bit unfortunate as Voylocte is looking to continue the hold here, build up their special, force Team Nyan to back off. We're seeing a hammer coming out, finding one person as they're not going to be able to find much more other than that. Crab coming out, finding 2 more as Team Voylocte is going to be forced to back up.
Yeah, Nyan able to find a really strong pick there. So far able to actually get some okay value, everything considered, but that Crab able to help take out 2 members of Nyan. They do come back fast, but they need to stay up and they need to find picks. They can't let Voylocte get some of those tools to break back into mid zone if they're going to have a chance to grab the lead.
Team Nyan is really trying to get back in here. The 10's going to be forced to back off as the rest of Team Nyan's going to be taking the advantage the Team Voylocte is going to be taking the advantage of that position as they're going to be pushing into their courtyard again, picking down that timer as they are really just looking to get the rest of their points in here. The penalties just ticking away as Team Nyan is scrambling to find something to get them in. The Crab, the strikes, it flips the zone, giving them even more penalty with less than a minute on the clock. They are really just looking to bring them to overtime.
Really love these plays. Once again, we're seeing from the B mini able to get 2 earlier and is now in its own power position with its hammer. We just need to see the members of Nyan stay up and maybe get their strikes up, maybe get even their Crab up again in order to really find this lead. We see the clock ticking down. This is getting a little scary now for Voylocte. If this hammer can find anything, unfortunately it doesn't. That might have been devastating. The 3 of them coming out with the combination of the Crab on the right might just be what Voylocte needs, and it is. They're able to get that zone Crab, leading to some really hard penalties.
As there's 12 seconds left on that clock, Team Nyan's just really looking to get that flip in. Unfortunately, we're going to see 4 down, 6 seconds on the clock, and that's going to be it for Team Nyan. They're going to, as Team Voylocte is going to be taking the second match of the set.
That one was really close. That was fun to see and fun to watch. The members of Nyan really had a lot of strong points throughout it, and I kept talking about that V mini, but you know, if you can't hit your hammers, like at least throw it. I don't know. It was just so sad to see because I really wanted to see the fun pop off, but I don't know. Maybe some top level players are just too used to the shenanigans that hammers can pull out, and they kind of just are always one step ahead. Who knows?
Who definitely knows? As we're going in to match 3, this could be tournament point right here, as we're bringing us to Clam Blitz on Uami Ruins. A great map and an okay mode for it. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they change up about their comps to fit the map and their play styles against each other. We saw an interesting switch up last match, and I'm hoping to see something pretty similar to that switch up happen here, just to hope that Nyan's going to be able to find their footing and get some clams in here and maybe even take this match from them.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we have seen both sides being very capable of getting their own respective wipes, being able to even hold out and maintain a space for an extended period of time. So I think with that all considered, it's really just going to come down again to like that kind of clutch factor, right? I think that's definitely something that Voylocte has on their side historically. From the looks of it so far, you're always seeing members like Gray or Bran taking really fun, crazy flanks that just create so many opportunities for the rest of the team to fall into. And Nyan, on the other hand, we haven't been seeing that from them quite as much. They've definitely been a bit more stable, a bit more of a kind of team unit, which definitely is not bad in its own right, but kind of seeing how those clash here on a mode like Clan Blitz and also on a map like Umami is going to be interesting, to say the least.
Oh, very much so. It's a lot more of a back and forth map, as we've seen with our last few teams that have played on this. It's, even though one team may be better, you can see a lot of back and forth in this map specifically, and I'm very interested to see how both teams are going to be taking advantage of that as we're getting into the match right now.
Absolutely, and we're going to be seeing the mid decav come out from the side of Voilocte. You know they're being serious when the decav comes out. That's when you know that they're like, we gotta just close this out. We need to like just get on with it all. But on the other side of Nyan, we see the Bamboozler come out. That's a fun pick, and I'm interested to see how those two potentially match up into each other as we're taking a look at the decav to start off.
Nyan really looking to up their aggression right here, switching that pencil for that bamboo and getting that NZAP in for the mini, as they're really just looking to rush down Team Voilocte and take fights when they have the advantage. Team Voilocte is going to be able to take the early lead, or early mid position right here, as we can see the crabs duel in mid.
And those crabs do be dueling in mid. But this also maybe has something to say about that all, as they do a team trade out for that S-Blast. Not a bad pick at all. And Voilocte is finding kind of this gradual pick after pick. They're able to kind of just fall down on those solo fights and really get the value they need out of them. So far, so good for Voilocte, but we're yet to see a Clam hit the basket.
And as soon as you say that, Clams hit the basket, as Team Voilocte is really looking to just kill the remaining members of Team Nyan so they can grab the clams that are in mid. We're seeing a crab coming out to help them do that. The pencil's jumping back in, or coming back from mid, grabbing as much clams as they can, hopefully trying to make a ball here, as Team Voilocte is just trying to make a mess of their base, of Team Nyan's base right now. Unfortunately, the mess is not going to be large enough, so we're going to be seeing a microscopic bubble.
A microscopic bubble that actually got quite a bit of value itself. Despite them not having too much space to work with, they were able to survive not just a bomb, but also that fight from the S-Blast. So props to them for being able to make the most of it. But now as we head into start of the second half of this match, we do see quite a few members of Nyan once again falling down. The dually is just sitting at the top of their snipe too. Like they just have the world in their hands right now.
Voilocte taking advantage of the positional advantage that they have right here. The paint differential between each other, the two teams, is massive, and Team Voilocte knows it, and they are playing with that positional advantage that they're getting, as Team Nyan is just really looking to try and get these picks here, but they're just not finding it. The Bamboo trying to fight as much as they can. Not going to be that successful, but fortunately for them, gets a jump out.
Good jump out and a good shot on that S-Blast, but they do go down for it, and that's not necessarily what you want to see if you want to try to get the push of your own. And once again, we are back at the ramp and basket of Nyan as they are trying to fight back into mid. They do have an okay presence, but the members of Voilocte are already backed up. They're already kind of plotting their next opportunity to break in. And if they can't stay down, I don't think Nyan's going to be able to actually push.
Team Nyan's just really looking to use their aggression to their advantage. They finally got Team Voilocte in a disadvantaged state right now, and they're just really looking to try and put a crowbar in their position and make it even worse. The crab comes out in mid out of desperation, though it's going to be forcing their vision, and it's going to get two because of that. The Spectre's coming out from Voilocte, allowing them to get back in the mid right here, as Team Nyan does not have an answer for them.
Yeah, and by the way, that ball also fell off the map due to the positioning from that fight. Not that necessarily Nyan would have been in the position to grab that ball, but when you're so far down, you don't have any points on the board, and there's just over a minute left in the match, you don't necessarily want to see that happen. And we're we've seen ball after ball go into this basket. Voilocte has been dominating, unsurprisingly, but they've just been crushing Nyan's attempts at breaking into the match. But we do see one DC from Voilocte with just under a minute left.
It's very hard to say. The DC's definitely going to help Team Nyan, but I don't know if it's enough at this point as the S-Flash just keeps going off, finding pick after pick. Finally going down, the decap comes in, finds one. Team Nyan, knowing they finally might have the advantage right here, are looking to try and desperately make a final push right here. Try and get the ball that they have into their basket. Though unfortunately for them, they go 3 down. With 18 seconds left from the clock, and they're really just looking to stay alive right here. Oh, as the decap comes in and finds the pick, they're just throwing clams off. The 10-second timer's on as the rest of Team Nyan is scrambling to make something here. They get the pity clam together. They get the Ruyab off as Team Voilocte is taking their positions right here, backing off and taking the defensive right here. We're in overtime. We're seeing all the specials come out. We're seeing the chumps come out. The S-Blast goes down on both teams. 2 down on the side of Nyan as they're just really trying to get in. Crab comes out, and that is going to not look good for Team Nyan as that's game.
What a game! Oh my gosh, can we like talk about the S-Blast pop-off too, by the way? Like, I think we got like 7 kills on the camera or something insane like that. Like, they were reaching the point where they got wiped and then they got basically wiped a second time trying to still make something happen. Yikeroos for Nyan on that part. But huge props to Voilocte for really locking that down and finding good value. And, you know, ultimately getting a decisive sweep in our tournament here and getting $40 to their name. A big $40 to their name.
Very much so. It was very worth it as those games were amazing to watch. The score might not represent it, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You can't say everything was just a number.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that was just a fun set to watch too. Like, we've talked about both of the teams and the players, but really just want to highlight how cool it is to see players from just across the world fight against each other in Ctrl+Ink+Del. Like, we had a Japan team go up against a plus player pickup composed of players from North America, France, and I believe that may be it, but just still really cool to see that nonetheless the EU, NA, and JP were represented in this grand finals. Really cool stuff.
Very much so. It's great to see everyone coming out and just having a great time with this tournament. It's been a blast to commentate over this and also watch these matches as they've just been back and forth fights right here, and seeing top of the top is just always great.
Agreed for sure. And thank you all too in the chat and watching the stream, or who played in the tournament, for coming out tonight. It's been great to have you. It's been great to go on this journey with you all as we went through our matches. And it was also really fun getting to watch all this serious competition. I don't think there was a single match we saw tonight that was a true stomp of any kind. Like, both sides always were fighting up against each other and finding some of their own value, even if it came down to a last second lead push that kind of just created a window of opportunity for the other team to break in and create their own voice in the set. It all just came down to a really fun tournament overall, I believe. So thank you all.
Definitely. Thank you all for coming out and watching us, not only, and for the teams that played. We appreciate everything that you did for us today. We hope you had a great time. If you didn't, we're sorry about that. Throw it in feedback. We appreciate all feedback, positive, negative, hate. Well, we don't appreciate hateful, but we appreciate everything in between. And we always talk about these things, our feedback, and we're always listening to you guys. So anything that you've got, please send it our way. We'll talk about it and we'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. We're always looking to improve the tourney, and really appreciate you all for voicing just, you know, like your feedback and your thoughts and just any love you have as well. So with that all done and said, I think it's about time we probably start to close off, unless if you have anything else to say, Butters.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna go over a few things. First off, as we said, congratulations to Voyate winning. You'll be getting an invitation to our invitational. Along with that, we're gonna be giving out our wild card to Nyan, as they put up a great match here, and we want to see them come back. So we'll be also sending you an invite to our invitational late in October.
Fun stuff, and congrats to both teams. Congrats to Voylacte for getting $40, and congrats to Nyan and Voylacte for potentially having a chance to get $200. You never know.
But we'll go ahead and close it off there. As we said earlier, appreciate all of you. I'm Butters, head TO of our wonderful tournament here. You can't really find me much anywhere else. I don't really do much other than this, but we appreciate all y'all. Omar, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, y'all can find me over at DCA and a few other spots. In particular, just to do a little bit of a plug, we got Rush Weekend 3 going on tomorrow, and it's going to be a really fun time and some really good stuff. We're partnering with Make-A-Wish to kind of do a big donation charity event, and we have quite a few classic collegiate teams appearing, as well as quite a few fun pickups as well of members of our community. You're not going to want to miss it. That's going to be streaming tomorrow around 1 p.m. Eastern time. And aside from that, also don't forget about Original Message Deleted. We're going to be running Ctrl+Ink+Delete 3 in just about 2 weeks from now. And we have plenty other additions, and also tourneys kind of cooking in the background for you all as we look to kind of help further innovate the scene and bring some new ideas to the forefront. But yeah, that's been it from me, and that's been it for Ctrl+Ink+Delete number 2. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure to have you.
Have a good one.